with me, Pugs Moran. We do this every single day, high noon. That's 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. I give you all the hot topics, the current events, the headlines, whatever it is that people are buzzing about. I'm going to break it all down for you. Here's how it works. I tell you what the headline is or what the hot topic is. Then I tell you why it is. Then I give you my hot take. Then we move on. We don't get marred in the muck of partisan politics. We don't talk much. Dems versus Republicans. Now, we don't do that kind of stuff. We do the other stuff. We do all the other stuff that's fun to talk about. There is other news out there, and I try and bring it to you every day in a conversational stream of consciousness I call a rant stream. I don't know what I call it. Hi, everybody. Come on into the chat room. We got our people coming into the chat room. We got Byron. We got Leslie. We got Taronda. We got Barney. Rainey. Okay. Welcome, everybody. Here they come. More are coming. Leslie C. Oh my God. Hold on, let me check something. By the way, that's called verbal acne. I don't know if you guys know what verbal acne is. Verbal acne is something that you say subconsciously. It just sort of just pops up in your, like for me, it was what I just did there. What did I just do there? Well, you missed it. You missed it. Verbal acne. I'll point them out now as they come. I will. Verbal acne. It also goes back to my days in radio where I was just petrified of dead air. Okay, sorry. So here's what we do. We go through all the day's topics. I give you hot takes on them. We run them down. By the time this thing is done, if you've listened from beginning to end, you're going to have a pretty good idea of what the world is buzzing about. But before we do that, we like to take a look at the day itself. We like to take, a trip back in a time machine and revisit some of the significant events that have shaped this day. Why? Well, I don't know. Sometimes there's rhythms. Sometimes there's patterns. And who knows, maybe if we can detect those rhythms and patterns now, we might have an edge on what's to come in the coming hours of this edition of August the 22nd. Then we do birthdays. We talk about people who were born. And then we do mornings. We do, these are the people who've died. And then we talk about whether or not we care if they died or not. But we're shifting into, instead of discussing, here are the people who died, everybody dies. Sometimes bad people die. Do we care that this person? And I tried to change that. I tried to change it to heaven or hell. And we did that for a couple of days. And we're going to keep doing it, heaven and hell. But I don't know. I'm not feeling it. I don't know. You guys in the chat room, you let me know. Okay, so that's what we do. We go through, we take a time machine trip back to days gone by, and we revisit events of the day. Then we talk about people who were born on this day, celebrate their birthdays, and then we go through the list of people who have passed on throughout history on this day, discuss what they've done, do we care, and do we think, are they in heaven or hell now? All right, after we've done that, then I feel like we've got a good idea of what this day is. Then we roll forward into the hot topics. So if you're with me, I appreciate it. We're going to get rolling right here in a second. But first, I have to tell you, this show does run on your tips. Your tips are appreciated. Drop something in the Venmo, drop something in the Cash App. I want to start doing this daily. Just because the metric is the thin metric that we need to earn on this show. Instead of me panicking at the end of the month, which is usually what always happens, and then some hero out there, like last month it was Tracy, some hero out there comes in with like a big tip and just drops it at the end, and you're like, well, we made it. Thank you, Tracy. I'm going to start shouting out the people who help day to day. And then yesterday I wanted to thank Frank. Frank, no last names around here. Frank is a guy who, like, every day or so, like, drops like $1 or $2. He tips me like I'm his bartender. He tips me like, and I love that. I think that that's fantastic. And then also tipping yesterday was April. April tips consistently. Thank you so much, April. And April has been helping out since the very beginning. So thank you to April and thank you to Frank. They're the ones who got yesterday's show. Well, actually, or would yesterday's show be responsible for today's show? They're responsible for today's show. There you go. That's how it's going to work. I think I just figured it out. So, Frank, if you're in the chat room, you're a boss today. Everybody say thank you to Frank. I appreciate it. And then, by the way, this isn't like pressure for, like, everybody else to have to do that. Some people can, some people for whatever reason, any number of reasons don't, and that's fine too. But I do appreciate those guys who are stepping up and helping us keep doing this show. All right, shall we move in? Last night was comedy night. We went to the comedy show. We went to the comedy not the comedy show. James Parker and I, we do a second stream. We do another stream at 9 p.m. It's called the Radio Misfits stream, Radio Misfits. Excuse me. Now all of a sudden I'm coughing. Hold on. I'm going to tune the smart TV into CNN. Okay, let's just watch, because it'll come on at full blast volume. So we'll hear when it finally comes on. So this is how long it takes. If someone were to call me and go, dude, put on CNN real quick, I'd be like, okay, bonk, bonk, bonk. And here I go. All right, there we go. All right, now so CNN has, I just asked for CNN. Turn on CNN. That's what I just asked. We'll see how long it actually takes, because we'll be interrupted by the glare of blaring sound of Anderson Cooper or something silly. Yeah, it's still not doing anything. You were here. We were all here together when I went boom, CNN, and absolutely nothing. And, all right, that wasn't terrible. That was under a minute.
By saying that the president
was
writing the memos.
Because this is the day that I do that as an example. It takes like 1 minute. Yesterday, it took like 5. We went to a comedy class last night. James Parker and I, my co-host on Radio Misfits, which we do every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 9 o'clock. It's me, James Parker, and and we sit around, we hash it up, we talk about the day's events, more of a roundtable conversation about the world as we're experiencing it in real time. James and I are doing stand-up comedy. Dean Lewis's stand-up comedy class at the Improv. Dean Lewis's stand-up comedy class. We have a date for our big show. So if any of you guys in the chat room want to come out and see me and James and, do our comedy, it's September the 19th. It's a big September the 19th. Parker and Pugs take the stage at the Improv as a part of Dean Lewis's graduating class of young comedians. I love my class. I love my people in my class. They are all such good souls. They're all just like, when you do something like this, when you go to like one of these classes, like whether you're taking an acting class or even it's almost like group therapy, because it requires you to drop all your bullshit. Yeah, man, what's up? Like that doesn't work in a class where everybody's trying to tap into one another's creative energy. So I really appreciate that. I like, you know what I mean? Like when you're at work, right? It's like, hey, man, what's up, bro? All right. Yeah. Hey, man, you cool? Yeah, I'm cool. We're all cool. We're so cool. Can't be cool in one of those classes. You can't be cool. Well, here's the thing. No, you can be cool. And in fact, I saw a lot of cool shit last night. What you can't be is worried about being cool. And that's the trick. And isn't that always the trick about cool? Isn't that the cool factor? Isn't that what it is? The coolest people you will ever meet would never consider themselves cool, which is why I submit, Your Honor, the Fonz was not an actual cool guy. The Fonz was actually kind of an arrogant douche. When you think about it, it's like, dude, that guy's not cool. That guy's an arrogant douche. All right, let's get into the show. It is the High Noon Report on Pugs Moran, and it's the 22nd day of August. Yeah, August. Year of our Lord, 2023. Did you know that August the 22nd is the 234th day of the year? There are 131 days left till the end of the year. So as we like to say around these parts, get those New Year's Eve plans started. Yay! Trying to make New Year's Eve sound effects. I don't have a great range of choices here for sound effects, so forced to do a lot of it with my mouth. All right, let's get into the events that have shaped this day. We call this segment Erstwhile on This Day, or maybe you are more comfortable calling it Previously on August the 22nd. Here's a fun little twosome, separated by 10 years. On this day in 1770, James Cook, Captain Cook, James Cook names and lands on Possession Island and claims the east coast of Australia for Britain as New South Wales. James Cook. It's on this day in 1770. On this day, 10 years later in 1780, James Cook's ship, the HMS Resolution, returns to England without Cook because the natives killed him. Woo! Sure, in 1770, he was planting that flag and he was going, hey, this is my land now because I'm the first guy to find it. Hey, who are these people coming up over the ridge? Who I didn't know anybody lived there. Hey, run! That's kind of basically, I guess, what happened. So on this day in 1770, James Cook conquered the land and claimed it. And 10 years later, his boat showed up back in England and he wasn't there. And they're like, what happened? He's like, oh, he got killed by natives. Yeah, they didn't like it when he claimed this New South Wales. On this day in 1902, let's move forward a little bit. The Cadillac Motor Company is founded. Cadillac. Man, I want to live in an America where the Cadillac is the badass car. I liked when you knew who the most powerful dude in the neighborhood was because he was trucking around in a black Fleetwood. You know, that was the move in the 1970s. We didn't have no BMWs. Nobody had no Mercedes in 19. If you had money, you had a Cadillac, maybe a Lincoln. A Lincoln was also up there. There were no SUVs. There were no electric Teslas. No. If you were the richest guy in the neighborhood, you drove a black Fleetwood. And those were just the rules. I want to live in that America again. Cadillacs were so cool. The mythology of Cadillac in my mind, again, Cadillac founded on this day in 1902, Cadillac, Michigan. The mythology of Cadillac in my mind is just American prosperity. That's what Cadillac says to me. I also look, and I'm not one of these guys that are like, only buy American. I mean, look, I've owned a lot of foreign cars. I like foreign cars. The foreigners, they make cool ass cars. I don't know nothing about that. But as I get older and I start to get more romantic about the past, I do start to appreciate more the American side of things, right? Like the Ferraris are nice, but man, the muscle cars, the Corvettes, those were pretty nice too. There was a time when those were the Ferraris and the supercars and the Lamborghinis. I don't know. I always wanted a Cadillac and I still want a Cadillac and not an Escalade. No, I want a Cadillac. I want a luxury Cadillac. That means success in America. At least it did where I come from. What is that? A Rivian? What is a Rivian? I don't care that it costs $150,000. What is a Rivian? My neighbor's got a Rivian. I was looking at it in the driveway. It's an electric car. It's like a new fancy electric car. Get yourself a Cadillac. All right. On this day in 1902, Cadillac Motor Company is founded. On this day in 1922, Michael Collins, Commander-in-Chief of the Irish Free State. One of my favorite people to have ever lived. One of my absolute heroes. Michael Collins, let me just put it to you this way. To the Irish, Michael Collins is George Washington. Does it make sense? Is that's how we view Michael Collins. Michael Collins was born on this day. Oh, sorry. I need a little water. My throat's we're getting into that air conditioning throat again, where my voice starts to get weird. Got to keep it lubed. On this day in 1922, Michael Collins, Commander-in-Chief of the Irish Free State Army, is shot dead in an ambush during the Irish Civil War. Collins was a badass. Look, I don't want to spend too much time talking about him because there's like so many like super cool stories about what a badass he was. And again, we don't have to go all the way back to 1776. You know, this is a guy who died in 1922. You know, he knew who Babe Ruth was. You know, I mean, he probably heard about the Chicago Black Sox throwing the World Series. It's relatively in our modern times, and the exploits of this dude, how this guy just stood up to imperial British power with no fear, no cowardice, just absolutely nothing but. He was a hero, man. He was a hero. And on this day, he was gunned down by a bunch of gutless British troops on a narrow passway. 1922, Michael Collins is killed. And look, I also have a lot of love for Eamon de Valera. There were two guys during the Irish Revolution. There was, this is kind of like Russia. We talked about Russia yesterday when we were talking about Trotsky. We were talking about how during the Russian Revolution, you had Trotsky and you had Lenin. It was a two-headed monster. It was just that as the dust settled, Lenin was the one that rose to the top. Same thing in Ireland. There was Michael Collins and there was Eamon de Valera. Eamon de Valera would go on to be legitimately the George Washington, the first president of Ireland. That's who Eamon de Valera became. But Eamon was more the politician who was, a hard-nosed negotiator with the English and Parliament and all that kind of stuff. Michael Collins was the military strategist, Michael Collins was like, here's how we beat them. Here's how we sap their will. Here's how we gain our freedom. He was the guy who came up with all of that. Michael Collins, by the British perspective, I am right now singing the praises of Osama bin Laden, because to the British, Michael Collins was a terrorist. Michael Collins, to the Irish, see, isn't this interesting how perspective works? To me and to the Irish, Michael Collins is a hero. Are you kidding me? We need more Michael Collinses to stand up for what's right in the face of oppression. But the narrative put out by the oppressors is, of course, that Michael Collins was a terrorist. Now, I don't know. You don't have to go deep. You don't have to read biographies like I have. You don't have to watch every documentary on the Irish Revolution. But there is a very good movie in the 90s, Michael Collins. It's called Michael Collins. It stars Liam Neeson as Michael Collins and Brendan Gleeson as my descendant, Liam Tobin. That's right, my descendant. Brendan Gleeson plays my descendant in that movie. Anyway, so yeah, that's a good movie. If you haven't seen it, it's really interesting. It's a war movie. If you like war movies, and you're also going to get a little bit of history about how the Irish stood up to the British and finally gained their own country, except for the North. Hey, what was the North? Fine, bend the knee, you bitches. That's me as an Irishman. And no, I'm sorry. You're our brothers. We love you. We'll get you back. We know we'll get you back. On this day, 1922. On this day in let's move forward. On this day in 1989, Nolan Ryan strikes out Ricky Henderson to become the first Major League Baseball pitcher to record 5,000 Ks. Boy, I bet Ricky took that well. Look, Ricky. I'm sure Ricky broke his bat. I'm sure it bothered him. Nolan Ryan, not born on this day. On this day, he got his 5,000th K. On this day in 2003, if you want to go way back to a name that resurfaced a few years later, on this day in 2003, Alabama Chief Justice Roy Moore is suspended after refusing to comply with a federal court order to remove a rock inscribed with the Ten Commandments from the lobby of the Alabama Supreme Court building. I vaguely remember this story. This is a stupid story. Just do the people who's complaining? See, this is who's complaining. But it's separation of church and state. No, I get that. And when religious doctrine begins to fully infiltrate our justice system through judges' rulings and stuff like that, then let's get on it. But man, let's just call this art that happens to contain the Ten Commandments. Why is this a problem? Why are people, and look, I understand, I believe in the separation of church and state. But why be a dick about it? Why not? There is no fear. How many people walk past a plaque of the Ten Commandments every day and never stop to read it? What is your fear? That everyone who walks into the Alabama Supreme Court is going to read the Ten Commandments and suddenly go, hey, that's right. What would the biblical Christians do in this situation? That's not how our justice system works. So stop it. However, if you want your morality to be guided by your faith, which I think is something we're all okay with, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with it. So anyway, it was on this day, of course, Chief Justice Roy Moore got suspended. Now, he should have complied with the federal orders because that's how this works. And then, it's a whole nother issue. But he didn't. He got suspended. And he turned out to be a real piece of work anyway. I mean, please don't get this misconstrued as a defense of Roy Moore. Remember, he tried to run for senator and it turned out that he was chasing little girls through shopping malls? It turned out like the worst stuff about a candidate that could possibly came out about Roy Moore. And then Doug Jones, remember him? He was like the pasty, namby-pamby liberal dude down there in Alabama, and he became senator for like 4 years. So for like 4 years, there was a liberal senator from Alabama. Then they got themselves a football coach. They went out and they were like, you know what? We can't have this Ivy League educated namby-pamby liberal let's go get us a ball coach. And they went out and got Tommy Tuberville. So, everything's fine. Stay the course, Alabama. You're fine. You're good. That was on this day in 2003. Roy Moore suspended from the bench for not complying with a federal-ish order to remove the Ten Commandments from the lobby of the Alabama Supreme Court. On this day in 2004, versions of The Scream and Madonna, two paintings by Edvard Munch, got to pronounce it right, Edvard Munch, are stolen at gunpoint from a museum in Oslo, Norway. Stolen at gunpoint. A dude just walked into an art museum, pointed a gun at a guard, and said, "Give me those 2 super rare paintings." On this day in 2004. Here's we'll end with this. We'll end the erstwhile segment with this. A little local end zone dance. This is fun. I remember this, although I don't remember the details, but I do remember this happening. On this day in 2007, the Texas Rangers defeat the Baltimore Orioles 30-3, the most runs scored by a team in modern Major League Baseball history. Are you kidding me? Did my dog just unplug me? Oh, hold on a second, you guys. Hold on. Give me a second here. The dog just moved. Hold on, I had to disconnect some stuff. Ugh. Dog, this is why you're not allowed here, dog. Get out of here. Get. I know. I love you, baby. Get out of here. All right, lay down. All right. Don't move, you stinker. Ugh, you little bum dog. Look at you. Look at you, you little bum dog. You were in a box. You were in a box on the side of the road, and now you live here. Bum dog. All right, we're back. Sorry about that. Had to. The dog was laying at my feet, and then she got up and she pulled. She turned off an entire. She put her little paw. You know those strips that you plug a bunch of stuff into. Well, she just stepped on the power to it, and the whole thing shut down. Which shut down my computer. Which shut down my computer. And I needed to reboot it and all that stuff. Not the one we use for the show, because that power strip is on the other side where the dog is absolutely not allowed to be. But she's on that side. All right, let's move into some birthdays. Let's do this segment. This is where we like to go through some of the things, some of the people, I should say, who were born, discuss their contributions to the world. And that's pretty much all we do with this segment. We call it birthdays. It goes, ba-na-na-na-na-na. Today is your birthday. Wa-na-ba-na-ba-na. All right, here are people born on this day. Are you ready? Born on this day in 1902, Leni Riefenstahl. Leni Riefenstahl. You know what Leni Riefenstahl is? She's first the good. She was attractive. She was a German artist. She was a German actress in the 1920s, 1930s, 1940s. Are you getting where I'm going with this? She was a favorite of a certain bachelor dictator. And so she started hanging around with Hitler. And she was a very well-respected artist, like right up until all the Hitler stuff started. And she became a director. She had, previous to the Nazi rise during the Weimar Republic, she was one of the only women in Germany to make a film. And she made a film, and it became like the most popular film in the country. She was probably, I'm not going to say the most highly regarded filmmaker, because filmmaking was new back then, but she was like Martin Scorsese of the Weimar Republic. People were like, what? And they had no problem with a female director. It wasn't like in Hollywood where female directors wouldn't even get a shot until like the 1960s. No, she was great. And when Hitler rose to power, he was a fan and he wanted to meet her. So he brought her in and she recognized power and all that kind of stuff. And she became the primary propagandist for Adolf Hitler. So all of those Hitler Nazi propaganda films that were used to, much the way news media, specific news media and stuff is being used over the past few years, it began to create a false reality in the minds of the German people. Leni Riefenstahl did that, born on this day in 1902. After the war was over, she was arrested. She was charged. Never convicted. She was like, let go. They let her go. She claimed, her whole thing was, she claimed, I had no idea. Like, she claimed she had no idea of the Holocaust. She had no idea of any of that stuff. All of her propaganda films were just all about how the white Aryan is superior to all. They weren't about, hey, check out the concentration camps, because the Nazis weren't really letting their people know that was going on. That wasn't. They knew that was a bad look, and they weren't really. So a lot of people over the years have said Leni Riefenstahl probably really didn't know, but I do not. I don't know about that. All right, born in 1902, Leni Riefenstahl. Chief Hitler propagandist. On this day, born 1934, Norman Schwarzkopf, Stormin' Norman, Desert Shield, which turned into Desert Storm. Remember that? First, it was Desert Shield. Desert Shield is the amassing of all of our troops there in Kuwait, and then it became Desert Storm, and then we stormed through. Norman Schwarzkopf died over 10 years ago now. He was a big thing. Born on this day in 1934, Norman Schwarzkopf. Born on this day in 1939, Karl Yastrzemski. Yes. Every time I see Mike Yastrzemski out there, I go, hey, his grandpa's one of the great old head baseball dudes of all time. Yastrzemski was great, man. Yastrzemski looked like a ball player. Of course, he's a Boston Red Sox legend. He was Karl Yastrzemski is like, when I started to first really pay attention to baseball, he was like the last of the greats that my generation would have an opportunity to watch. Like the last of the guys who played against DiMaggio and Mantle and, all of these guys and played with Ted Williams, right? I mean, Ted Williams, I don't ever remember watching Ted Williams play, but I do remember watching Karl Yastrzemski play at the very end of his years, because he played a lot of years. Karl Yastrzemski, happy birthday to you, 1939. Born on this day, 1941, Big O Tuna. Bill Parcells, multiple Super Bowl. I don't know how many Super Bowls he won. What did he win? 2 with the Giants? He's got 2 Super Bowls with the Giants. He's got 1 he doesn't have anything with the Patriots. Those were pre-Tom Brady. Those were Drew Bledsoe era Patriots. I don't remember him having any real success there. Happy birthday to you, Bill Parcells. Born on this day in 1941. Born on this day in 1945. How about David Chase? David Chase created The Sopranos, and if I'm being honest, I really don't know what else. I mean, sometimes I get David Chase and David Simon conflated, and then I'm like, no, David Simon is way more prolific than David Chase. But, it's interesting because I wouldn't mind that. Like David Simon does a lot of, is it David Simon? Yeah, The Wire and Deadwood and that new thing, not new thing, but relatively. Anyway, David Simon's great. He's got a lot of stuff. Everything David Simon does is good. David Chase got that one thing, but that one thing is The Sopranos and The Sopranos universe that he seems to be interested in creating. David Chase, when he ended The Sopranos, it wasn't because he felt the story had ended itself. He had just lost the passion and motivation for writing about that story. He took 15 years off, and then he got motivated. He wrote The Many Saints of Newark, which is not a great movie as a standalone, but if you're a Sopranos freak, it's wonderful. It's really fun if you're a Sopranos freak. But if it's a standalone movie, you don't get what's going on because there's just way too many things that you need to know about the Sopranos to really appreciate what the conversations are. Anyway. So yeah, I don't know, but I'm okay with that. I'd be okay with being the guy who did just The Sopranos as opposed to, oh, really? Would you? Ladies and gentlemen, look, it's my old co-host, Schizophrenic Me, the guy who lives inside my head, who tells me every great idea I have is garbage. He hasn't been around in a while. He's not around. Here's the thing. Sometimes I tell you about how I dance with the dangerous dagger of ennui from time to time. Schizophrenic Me doesn't show up. I'm in a good cycle right now. I've been good. I've been really good. We're talking about depression, except that's such a boring topic. I'm good. I'm actually really good, kind of a little bit manic, which is good because that's nice. That's a couple weeks back where it was not great. It was not great. And it's not because, oh, you're sad because, people aren't tipping or anything like that. You don't understand. That's not what it is. I love you for even considering what my multitude of maladies may be stemming from. But no, that is not it. We're good. We're very good. We're in a good mood. So Schizophrenic Me might be popping around. Born on this day in 1945, David Chase. I've always been here. See, that's him. Born on this day in 1947, how about a big, hearty, happy birthday for Miss Shirley Feeney? That's right, Cindy Williams of Laverne and Shirley fame, celebrating. She's dead. She died this year. When did she die? When did Shirley Feeney die? How did I not know? Shirley was the cute one, right? If we're being, right? Is Penny Marshall still alive? I really don't care enough to look. But when I was little, I gotta be honest, neither Laverne or Shirley, were Charlie's Angels, which was probably another one of my favorite shows back then. But Shirley, right? If you had to, Shirley, I guess. Anyway, Cindy Williams celebrating a birthday. Shirley Feeney, 1947. Who was the other? There was some neighborhood trollop. There was some girl who was really into the vodeo do, which is how they used to. It's a euphemism they used for sexual intercourse on Laverne and Shirley. What was her name? She was kind of hot. She used to wear really low cut jumpsuits. Did everybody in 1965 walk around in jumpsuits? Because there were a lot of jumpsuits on Laverne and Shirley. Cindy Williams, born on this day in 1947, died this year. Born on this day in 1958, Vernon Reid of Living Color. Here's the guitar part. Look in my eye. That's not him. That's the singer. I can't do the guitar parts. And even if I could do the guitar parts with my voice, they wouldn't be anywhere near the masterful licks of one Vernon Reid, celebrating a birthday today. Born on this day in 1958. Born on this day in 1963. Happy birthday to Tori Amos, American singer, songwriter, pianist, and producer. Little Earthquakes. Remember that? Oh, jeez. Dude, here's what I'll tell you. Doesn't really apply now. But back in the early 90s, the mid 90s, if you were dating a girl who was really into Tori Amos, oh my God, you were in hell. You were in absolute hell. That was one of the red flags that I had discovered early, is that there's nothing wrong with girls who like Tori Amos. Nothing wrong with them. Except they tend to be a little bit more maudlin. They tend to be a little bit more overdramatic. They tend to be very much into their feels, which is great because Tori Amos is a brilliant artist. I'm just saying, if you were 23 years old dating a girl who was in the midst of, indulging herself in the newest Tori Amos album, it was not a good month for you. It was just a whole lot of sad girl. I always associate Tori Amos with sad girls who make their boyfriend's life hell. Every bad girlfriend I've ever had, or any of my friends have had, we've always said, Tori Amos fan. Yes, Tori Amos fan. So happy birthday to you, Tori Amos. You made dating difficult for guys of Gen X. Born on this day in 1973. Here's one of my favorites. How about Kristen Wiig? Kristen Wiig. W-I-I-G. Strange name. Don't know what that is. Let's find out what that is. I bet it's Norwegian. Don't you think? Doesn't that sound like W-I-I-G? Let's see. Her name is Kristen Carol Wiig. Let's go to her early life, because here's what I like about the Wikipedia early life. They always break down the parents by ethnicity so you can figure out what the hell she is. Wiig was born on August 22nd, 1973 in Canandaigua, New York. Canandaigua, I don't know, can't say that. She's the daughter of John Wiig, who ran a lake marina, and Laurie Johnson, an artist. She has an older brother, Eric. Okay, her father was Norwegian and Irish, and her mother was English and Scottish. There you go. I pegged her as Norwegian. Why? Because you're a racist who cares about people's ethnicity? No, I'm a compassionate human who is interested in people's history. See, it's all about spin and the way it's presented. You choose to think that I ask such questions about people's cultural background and all that. You choose to believe that I asked those questions to somehow put them in a box so that I might lather that box in my own preconceived notions about their ethnicity. Well, you, sir, would be wrong. I'm simply interested in where you're from and what you might be like. Not everybody's a freaking racist. Same applies to when I see a dude with one hand. I see a dude with one hand, I'm asking him what happened to the other hand. And it's not because I'm hand shaming. I don't know what would that be? I don't know. It's not because I'm hand shaming. It's because I'm interested in probably the most significant event of his life. And if you think for 1 minute that these people don't want to talk about why they only have one hand, especially if it's been years. I had a friend in high school who was dead on basically one side of his body. He had suffered a stroke when he was a baby. So he was basically paralyzed. His leg was okay. He couldn't run really well or anything like that. He had some mobility of his leg, but his arm was dead. Like his right arm just hung. It was just dead. He was our friend. He was awesome. He's hysterical. And he was really hysterical because I have probably attended, 100 backyard keg parties with this guy where I have heard him tell 100 different versions of why his arm is dead. He loves it. It's his thing. It's what brands him. So when I ask somebody, hey man, what happened to your hand? It's not because I want to go, ew, what happened to your hand? It's because I want to go, ooh, tell me a story. Go ahead, get on a stage. Let's vibe right now as humans. Stop being afraid. Stop being afraid of how people will perceive you, and just be a human. Just be a kind, decent human. Anyway, let's move on. How about Adam Thielen? Born on this day in 1990, Adam Thielen is an interesting case, man. This is guy. We're going to do a little NFL talk here just for a brief moment. Indulge me. I like to sometimes show my sports chops. Adam Thielen is an interesting guy, especially this time of the season, because we're in training camp right now. And if you're a freak about your team, as I am, you're probably watching every second of training camp because that's what we NFL freaks do. And we're looking at a bunch of people, especially now, if you happen to still watch preseason games, which I love my team's preseason games. I don't care. Look, why? Because hope springs eternal, man. And none of this counts. And let's see what we got. And I enjoy these preseason games because I actually like to see what we got in the fifth round. I like to see what that third rounder, who they said such nice things about on draft round, I want to see what he's really like. And preseason is where we get to see it. And sometimes people pop out. I'll give you a quick example. Right now, my team, Chicago Bears camp, we have an undrafted quarterback by the name of Tyson Bagent. Now, Justin Fields is our quarterback. Don't kid yourself. But this kid came out of Division III Shepherd. He is the NCAA at every level, at all levels. He is the NCAA leader in completed touchdown passes at 153, threw for 17,000 yards. Now, again, this was against lesser competition, but he's on the Bears. He was invited to camp as an undrafted, and he is crushing it. He's like DTR or DLR doing it over there in Cleveland. If you're watching what's happening with the Cleveland Browns, they got a third rounder or a fifth rounder or something like that, who's like lighting it up out there. And now this happens all the time in preseason. You see these guys. Adam Thielen, today's his birthday. Adam Thielen was undrafted. Adam Thielen went to a small college. He went to Minnesota State. I think it was Minnesota State. Yeah, because that's why it was so cool that he was at the Vikings. Basically walked on in camp as a rookie. Adam Thielen walked on and nobody wanted anything from him, played in the garbage time of the preseason games. And guess what? Adam Thielen played 10 years for the Minnesota Vikings and is one of their most beloved players of all time. Why? Well, has a lot to do with the fact that he played for 10 years, but also he's a local kid and he's a good dude. And he was someone who the experts during that NFL draft process of, I don't know what it was, 2013 maybe, the draft experts said, nah, he's nothing. And you know why that is? Because they don't go to small schools. They don't go to Minnesota State. Why they don't go to this Tyson Badgett? He went to Shepherd in West Virginia, a Division III school, Shepherd in West Virginia. Do you think a scout for, well, I was going to say the Pittsburgh Steelers, but maybe the Pittsburgh Steelers would because they're kind of close to West Virginia. But do you think a scout for the San Francisco 49ers, where's he going to go? Is he going to go to Ann Arbor, Michigan, where the University of Michigan boosters are going to fet him with steak dinners and 4-star hotels and limousine rides and all kinds of incredible? Or do you think he's gonna land in Richmond and then drive and rent a car and drive 3 hours into the mountains of West Virginia? He's not doing that. These players don't get scouted. So when you're watching your favorite team right now, pay attention to some of these players, especially the ones. Local announcers are great in this area because local announcers will tell you everything about them. Sometimes it's hype. And there are a lot of these guys who flare up in training camp, who are like training camp superheroes. And then you never hear from them again. But sometimes you do. And one of them is having a birthday today. It's Adam Thielen. One of the man, look, I've seen him for 10 years. He plays in my division. Adam Thielen is a baller, man. Any team would want Adam Thielen. And nobody thought he was any good. Adam Thielen, by the way, he's a Panther now. I know that because I'm glad he's out of the division. Look, Justin Jefferson is enough to deal with. Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. And now Hawkinson, right? They got Hawkinson. Jesus. Vikings. All right, let's move on. Happy birthday to Adam Thielen. Also a little football. Born on this day in 1997, Max Crosby, American football player, plays for the Raiders. He's a very scary edge rusher. Max Crosby. Isn't he from here? Isn't Max from here? I think Max is from somewhere around here. Max, like I know him. It's a cool name though. Max Crosby is a badass name. That is a good name, especially for someone who would be of some note, some celebrity. That's a good name. Born on this day in 1997, Max Crosby. Born on this day in 2001. How about a shout out for the little brother of a guy who almost made me cry yesterday. Happy birthday to LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball. Their dad's a D-bag, but it seems to me that LaMelo and Lonzo Ball are good kids. Their dad's a D-bag. Their dad is insufferable. But don't let that trickle down. I mean, LaMelo had an amazing year. LaMelo's a baller. There's no doubt. First of all, we knew that they were all talented. Lonzo, however, Lonzo who plays for my Bulls. Lonzo, who is such an optimistic kid. From the moment he showed up in Chicago, we were all like, we Bull fans were like, oh, geez. Are we seriously going to have to deal with this guy now? Like honestly, are we going to have to, is their dad now going to be a Bulls thing? Well, they seem to have solved that problem by Lonzo blowing his knee out. And it was so awful because Lonzo hasn't played in 2 years now. And we were building this team around him. And they had built a really nice team. They were in first place. The team that they built around Lonzo raced out of the gates in the first half of the season to be the number one team in the Eastern Division. Shocking everybody. The Bulls were playing out of their minds. Alex Caruso, Lonzo Ball, DeMar DeRozan. I mean, it was a good team. And they were in first place. And then Lonzo blew his knee out and he hasn't played in 2 years and the Bulls have sucked. And yesterday, Lonzo did a video. He was on a podcast. And he was talking about his injury and how long it has taken, 2 years and multiple surgeries, and will he ever be the same again? And it was so heart-wrenching. It was so sad. And as a Bulls fan, we went through it with Derrick Rose. So we're used to waiting, but we also know at some point the wait has to be over. Lonzo almost started crying when he started talking about the team that they had built, that they had just rolled out, that had only played together for 4 months, because that team was squandered. That team was wasted, he said. And he was very upset and he was crying. And, it's a very sad thing, man, when an absolutely beautiful athlete, and Lonzo Ball was a beautiful athlete. The way he played, the unselfish way he played. Oh my God, his passes. Are you kidding me? This guy, I mean, not since prime Magic had I seen somebody make such beautiful passes so effortlessly and so selflessly. And that's crazy about Magic because Magic wasn't selfless, but Lonzo is. Anyway, happy birthday to LaMelo. I hope your career goes as planned because I think your big brother's, I don't think we're going to see him again. I think he's done. What a shame. All right, let's talk about some deaths. These are the people who've died. These are the people who've died. We like to go through a list of people who have passed away on this day, this very day, and we decide, are they going to heaven or are they going to hell? Well, first of all, let's talk about dead on this day, 1922. Already talked about him. Michael Collins, he's going to heaven. Irish rebel, counterintelligence and military technician, politician, second minister of the Irish Department of Finance. Yeah, they put him in charge of money. Because you know why they put him in charge of money? Because he needed that money to pay people to make bombs and stuff. Yeah, so he's going to heaven. I'm sorry, my British friends. Michael Collins in my game is going directly to heaven. Let's see here. Dead on this day in 1989. Here's a controversial one. Woo! How are we going to handle this one? There's some complicated moving parts with this dude. Heaven or hell? Dead on this day in 1989. Huey P. Newton, founder of the Black Panther Party. Resist the programming. Resist the program. Resist the programming of what? The Black Panthers were a complicated organization. Black Panthers, Huey Newton was a complicated guy. Huey Newton fed every poor kid in Oakland for like 5 years. I mean, that's what he did. Well, Al Capone gave poor kids bicycles. Whatever. Okay. But Al Capone was also making millions of dollars on the side through illegal activities. That's not what the Black Panthers were about. They were a community activist organization, and they broke some law. I don't want to get into it. I don't want to break it down. That's why this one is so complicated, because there are a lot of people in this world who will see Huey P. Newton as a hero, and then there are a lot of people in this world who see him as a criminal so a lot of the reputation of Huey Newton, at least if you live in Nebraska, okay, what you heard about Huey Newton was that he was the leader of the Black Panthers and that he was arrested for shooting 2 Oakland police officers. He was arrested and he was put in jail for that, right? So that's what you know. That's what you know about him. Easy, right? All the shortcuts are in place. Is a radical, scary person of color with some ideas that, are different. And, he's angry. He certainly didn't like white people. But, again, there are people who would say, if you were him, would you? That's a perspective I don't want to go into right now. I don't want to try that. He was never convicted. 2 hung juries. Apparently, the shootout with police, there was a lot of what were the police really doing here? There was a lot of questions about it. So he didn't get convicted of that. So he was let go. But that went in and out of courts for years, and that was his reputation. And so the leader of the Black Panthers killed cops, so that was the whole thing. Even though they're widely believed to be in 2023 to be trumped up charges designed to take a powerful Black activist out of the mix. Things we know in 2023 that we didn't know in 1970s, right? However, and this is where it gets complicated. So for all those things, you think, you can make the case that he was a freedom fighter, just like Michael Collins. It's just, he was representing a different person. How is it that I think Michael Collins isn't a terrorist? But, I'm sitting here and I'm hemming and I'm hawing over Huey P. Newton, leader of the Black Panthers. Well, it's because I'm Irish, and I'm having difficulty separating, my feelings, my inherent feelings of support for Michael Collins, and trying to understand the complicated nature of American race relations in the 60s and 70s. It's a whole different thing, whole different metric that I have to think about here. So heaven or hell, here's what we're doing. Oh, here's the other thing. This needs to be mentioned. He was also accused of killing 2 ladies in the 70s. So, he didn't get convicted of those either. But he might not have been the best boyfriend, if you know what I'm talking about. Complicated guy, a lot of stories. Here's what we're doing. Here's how we're gonna handle Huey P. Newton, leader of the Black Panthers, in our heaven or hell equation. Dude's going to purgatory. He's going to purgatory. That's what purgatory exists for. I'm going to let smarter people decide on this one. Huey P. Newton. Here we go. It's only day 3 of us doing heaven or hell, and we have already introduced the purgatory aspect. of our heaven and hell. I know purgatory is not a thing for a lot of you. I was raised Catholic. Purgatory is a thing for us. Purgatory is not heaven, it's not hell. It's like a waiting room. It's like your fate. It's like when a jury sequesters itself and you're like on trial and you're waiting. That's what it is. Except here's the deal. It's forever. The jury never comes back. The jury never comes back and you're just always in purgatory. For you non-Catholics, I know regular Christians, as the Catholics who raised me might say, the fake Christians, which I just referred to as the regular Christians. You regular Christians, non-Catholic Christians, as my grandma might say, and not a real Christian, just a convenient Christian. You people don't really have purgatory. You should fold that in. That's nice. That's a good way. See, here's the problem. Everything is in heaven or hell. You don't have to run up. If you're an evangelical Christian, you don't have to run up to people on the street and go, you're going to hell. Now you've got a third option. You could say purgatory. It's a little less aggressive. I think it'd be a nice step in the right direction. That's all I'm saying. Dead on this day in 1991, an actress named Colleen Dewhurst. And we're putting her in heaven because I don't know. Because I don't know, and I'm still struggling with the purgatory introduction with Huey P. Newton, leader of the Black Panthers. All right, dead on this day in 2011, here's a dude, here's a guy, Nick Ashford. Remember Nick Ashford? Do you guys remember Nick Ashford? Come on. I'm solid as a rock. That's what this love is. The thrill is still hot. Come on, Ashford and Simpson. So solid, you give it to me. Solid as a... I wish I was on a real radio station where I could be playing that right now and singing. Oh, I'd be singing along. Nick Ashford. Yeah, he's going to heaven. What did he do? Do I want to click on Nick Ashford's? Do I want to click on Nick Ashford's Wikipedia page, go into his personal file, go into his little personal life, see if there was, some things. No, because let's just pretend all he ever did was hot. Let's just pretend that's all he ever did. He's going to heaven for that. Let's see. Yeah. Dead on this day in 2018, the great Big Ed King. Do you guys know who Big Ed King is? Big Ed King is Big Ed King. He's going to heaven. He's going to heaven. Big Ed King is a cool ass old dude. Big Ed King was Ed King. Ed King was one of the original guitar, not original, maybe not original. 1972 through like 1976, he was with Lynyrd Skynyrd. Skynyrd, man. Before that, he was with the Strawberry Alarm Clock. He was in the band The Strawberry. Incense and Peppermint. I think that's them. Strawberry Alarm Clock was weird, but cool. Cool, man. Anybody who doesn't know anything about the Strawberry Alarm Clock, you just want to hear some really cool, trippy music. If you're like, yeah, man, maybe I should. There was cool stuff back then. Strawberry Alarm Clock was doing some like real. Well, listen, look at the name. I mean, they were doing some really interesting stuff. Ed King was a part of that. Then he joined Skynyrd, and then he quit Skynyrd. He was like, hey, man, that song about a stupid bird is way too long. And he walked from Skynyrd, in which, justifiable. If you were going to quit Lynyrd Skynyrd, that might be one of the reasons. How long is that song? And it's about a bird? Was the bird in prison? Oh, a caged bird. I get you. No, he left. So Big Ed King left Skynyrd. And then the plane crashed and everybody in Skynyrd got killed. And then Big Ed King came back. And then he played with Skynyrd, I think, for the rest of his life, pretty much. But yeah, he's going to heaven. He's a cool guy. How about that, huh? You make the worst decision of your life that a lot of people would say, but it turns out to be the best decision of your life. He quit Lynyrd Skynyrd when they were like, Lynyrd Skynyrd. They're a big band. He's like, I'm done with this. And he quits. And everybody's like, man, you're crazy for walking around. You're crazy for walking on that band. And then, the band dies in a plane crash. And he's like, am I still crazy? Maybe I knew something. And then he rejoins the band. And then he rejoins the Reformed with the surviving members and all that. Ed King, dead on this day. Okay, guys, that's going to do it. Those are the people who've died. Those are the people who've died. Do we care? Yeah, for some of them. For some of them, I think we care. All right, welcome to the High Noon Report. I am Pugs Moran. We are now transitioning into the second part of the show. First part is always what this day has been. Second part is always what this day looks to be. So let's jump in. These are the hot topics, the current events, everything that's trending, all the stuff that's happening. Heat. All right, let's look at this, shall we? Let me see what we can do here. Oh my God. Do we have... wait, can we... Give me a second. I'm trying to find something. Never mind. You guys, I can't handle the heat no more. Hold on. Check this out. No. I just got like a scam thing from Wells Fargo. All right, so the heat is the big thing that's trending. Apparently, my friends in Chicago are about to go through absolute hell as temperatures are expected to... Guys, temperatures in the Midwest are expected to reach the high 90s. Dun, dun, dun! Maybe even over 100. Now, that is a big deal. It is a very big deal for that part of the country. As I sit here... at 12:58 in beautiful Highland Park, Texas, North Texas, it is 101 degrees. 101 degrees at 12:58. That's what we're dealing with now. Oh, we're used to it. It has now been 60 days above 100 degrees. No, actually, there was a day last week, remember? Well, it wasn't last Tuesday. A week ago today wasn't last Tuesday. It was only like 98, but it got down to like 75. Oh, I woke up that morning because it went down overnight when it was. I woke up. I have my air conditioners cranking. I woke up that morning freezing. I was like under a cover. Yeah, I haven't used a blanket in months. I was under a cover. I was shivering. All right, here's what we're looking at. Here, we'll get into the Midwest and why that's a problem. But here's what we're looking at here. All right. So, nope, that's not what I want. Yeah, that's what I'm like. Oh, good Lord. All right, yesterday's high, according to, I don't know what this is. Well, whatever it is on my phone. It was 106 degrees yesterday. Today's high is expected to be 105 degrees. Tomorrow's high, 104 degrees. Thursday's high, 105 degrees. Oh, don't worry, the weekend's going to suck. Friday, it's going to be up to 108 degrees. On Saturday, we're looking at 106 degrees. On Sunday, 105. And on Monday, all hail Monday, 98 degrees. 98 degrees, bitches, with a low of 75. Holy crap, it's going to be 75 in North Texas. It might just be for like 5 minutes, but it is going to get down to 75 at some point. When is that going to happen? Well, let me tip on that too. All right, so it's going to get down to 75 next Sunday night. Monday morning. So we're looking at about between, because it's not exact, but it looks like it's between like 5:30 in the morning and 7 in the morning. So let's wake up early on Monday and enjoy that 75 degree time. Guys, it's been maddening. This weather, this heat, and nobody in Texas likes to talk about it, right? Texans always pride themselves on, hell, man, this is Texas. That's pretty much what it is. Not now. No. This is different. People are talking about this. Everybody I run into, lifelong Texas. Hell, man, it's enough to get me to want to move to California. Of course, that was said last week before it was said. That was said on Lake Louisville on a boat. By a good friend of mine who is a dyed-in-the-wool Texan. Hell, man, this weather's enough to get me to move to California. It's been bad. It's been bad is my point. I don't know if it's been the worst on record. I don't know, but it's been bad. It's been So anyway, I don't know why it's taken so long. I don't know why this heat dome or whatever they're calling it has settled over this part of the country for the past 2 months. 2 months plus. You know what's funny? I was listening back to old shows. I was looking for a specific topic, and I stumbled across me back in early June talking about the weather, talking about the heat. And here was basically my rant back in June. Really? You call this summer? This is nothing. My God, I still got my windows open. Come on, Texas, you're letting me down. Fast forward to today, where I am a beaten man. I am a beaten man. I can't go outside. I have to go to my son's football game on Thursday. My son was supposed to play. This is going to interrupt. This is breaking news. This is going to interrupt Radio Misfits for Thursday night. I'm sorry. So there's only going to be 2 Radio Misfits shows this week. It's going to be tonight and tomorrow. I apologize. But my kid's first official high school football game, I'm going to be there. They moved the game to 8:30 because what's it going to be on Thursday? Is that the 108 day? Let's see. Oh, temperature went up 1 degree since we last talked. Since we last spoke. 106. All right, so 106 Thursday. So they moved his game to 8:30. Well, it was at 5:30 and now it's at 8:30. Oh. And it's like oh God, it's so far. Where is it? It's like I don't know, it's far. It's like really far. Far from me, not terribly far from where he lives. He doesn't live terribly far from me, but when you add on, you know what I mean? Together, from me, it's far. Anyway. What are we talking about? We're talking about the stupid heat. All right, so here's the problem with places in the Midwest. Why because we may now, being used to it being 110, we will be looking at Des Moines, and we will be looking at Chicago and Milwaukee, and we'll be looking at Indianapolis and, places like that. We'll be looking at those in the coming weeks. If they do, in fact, suffer temperatures that sustain themselves above 95 degrees, they will be looking at a lot of dead people, which is a very strange thing for those of us in the South. But it's normal. It's a normal occurrence. Here's the metric that is everything in the South, everything in Texas has an air conditioner. Just about. Not everything in the Midwest has air conditioning. They don't really need it. I mean, when the temperature in the summer is expected to be no more than like 91, 92 at worst, you can tough that out for a couple of days. When the average temperature in the summer is like, 85 degrees and then goes down to like 69, 70 at night, you don't need air conditioning. So what happens here in the modern era is when we have these insane heat blasts that go up through the Midwest, you still got a lot of people living in old buildings that do not have central air conditioning. Some don't even have window units. So consequently, what you have are a bunch of dead old people. You got your grandma who's 92 years old, who's still living, in that apartment that she's lived in for the last 70 years on the south side of Chicago. She's dead. She's dead because, her apartment on the 4th floor of the walk-up, although the temperature outside might just be 95, the temperature in her apartment is 110, 115, and she's dead. I remember this happened in the 90s in Chicago, where we had temperatures that got to be 98. It's like not even like crazy temperatures by Texas standards, but the temperatures went up, and they had to bring in the Cook County morgue, had to rent meat trucks, frozen, refrigerated semis that were used to hauling meat. They had to rent dozens of those because they had no place to put all the bodies of the old people who perished. So it is a very big deal when this kind of heat hits the Midwest. And we here in Texas, we should be respectful of that. We should not mock. We should not be like, really, 95? Because that's what we want to do. Even though I think I'm going to admit, even though that's what I will now become one of them, looking at us, the Texans, even though we make merciless fun of you when it snows and how you can't handle that. We will. All right, so go ahead. But here's the thing. A lot of old people are going to die. And that's why heat is trending. Fulton County is trending. A couple of people who were indicted there by Fani Willis. This is the Georgia election. What are we calling it? I don't know. Scandal. They think Trump, they're accusing former President Trump of trying to steal the election in the state of Georgia. 2 of his co-indicted co-conspirators, I guess that's it. That's the word, co-conspirators. 2 of his co-conspirators have showed up, been arraigned, been booked, all of that stuff. One is a bail bondsman who's involved in the Coffee County indictments, which has to do with people being allowed access to voting machines who weren't allowed access, who should never have been allowed access to voting machines. So one of those guys, he turned himself in today's bail bondsman. And John Eastman turned himself in. John Eastman's a guy we've seen on TV. He was Trump's lawyer. John Eastman turned himself in today. President Trump himself, I think they said he's expected to turn himself in on Thursday. So there you go. That story developing. ... Hey, were you watching this morning? You know what? I got to get an update on this because it hadn't resolved itself. So give me 1 second here while I check because it's been a while since I've seen an update on this. Okay. All right. So it's still not resolved. All right. So I don't know if you've been following this. They've been showing it on the news all morning long. In Pakistan, there is a cable car that is used to transport people from one part of a village up a mountain to schools and businesses and shops that are up there in the mountains. This is a normal everyday thing. You send your kid off to school. They don't get on a bus. They get on a cable car. A ski lift, a chair lift, if you will, that takes them up. And this is that everyday life in that part of the world. Well, this morning, one of the cables snapped and the cable car has been dangling like 1,000 feet above a ravine. And inside the car are a bunch of kids. It's a bunch of kids going to school. One of the kids has a heart condition. And according to one of the people in the cable car, because we live in an era with cell phones and they're talking to the media, one of the other students in the cable car said that the kid with the heart condition passed out and hasn't moved in 2 hours. So that's what we've been given. Then the Pakistani army came in. And I don't know, about 10 o'clock this morning, I think is when this whole thing started. I was watching a little video shot of it, a live stream of it. The Pakistani army came in and they lowered one of their, I would assume, a special forces guy. They lowered him down to the cable car and he began one at a time plucking the children out of the cable car and bringing them back up to the helicopter going down. So when we signed on today, he had rescued 4 kids. So that's where it was. It was going. That's why I said I wanted to make sure that he didn't drop one. What had changed in the hour since I saw that he had rescued 4 kids. So here's what's changed. 5 children have now been rescued from hanging Pakistan cable car. Military says. Let's see here. Rescuers in Pakistan pulled 5 of 7 children to safety after they became stranded with their teacher in a cable car high over a ravine. But a helicopter rescue operation was called off as night fell. 5 of 7. So there's a teacher and a student still up there overnight dangling with high winds. Oh my God. That is an update. They got 5 of them. You can't get 2 more? Come on. Rescuers in Pakistan pulled 5 of 7 children to safety after they became stranded with their teacher in a cable car high over a ravine. But a helicopter rescue operation was then called off as night fell. Floodlights were installed and a ground-based rescue operation was continuing more than 12 hours after their cable car snagged, leaving it hanging at an angle. The source added that cable crossing experts had been sent by the military to the remote area north of Islamabad, where trying to rescue the children one by one by transferring them onto a small platform along the cable. That's what they were trying to do. So hold on. All right. Cable crossing experts were trying to rescue the children one by one by transferring them onto a small platform along the cable. Okay, that's what we saw. That's what the guy who had rappelled down. 3 more children have been rescued. Okay, this is an update. So the full story is that 5 have been rescued, and they're currently stopped for the night. Hold on, do we have any video here? Yeah. All right, let's watch this. Give you a shot. Just a look at what this is. These poor kids, man. We didn't hear anything about the kid with the heart condition. That update was not put in there. So we'll have to see about that. What is this, like a little video? What do we got here? A little videos. Yeah, I'm going to skip the ad. No, I'm just going to sit here voluntarily and watch the ad like some dupe. All right. Let's watch this video. I'm not sure what this video is, but nope, that's not it. Sorry. Boop, boop. All right. Holy cow. Wait a second. I gotta make this bigger. This is crazy. And that's the other thing. Thousands and thousands of townspeople from all over are there just watching this. Like it's some Walenda stunt in you know, at Caesar's Palace. I mean, it is really, whew. I mean, they must be horrified. These people watch, this is their kids. I mean, in this group of people are the parents, I'm sure. All right, watch this. So this is some raw video from the scene. You can see the helicopter. You see the people, see the throngs. Now, all right, there's the basket. What's dangling? What is that? Almost looks like a dog. The problem is that apparently the winds are real. That's a person. That's a kid just dangling from the helicopter. All right, now they seem to be getting him back in. All right, now this one. Did he fall out? Oh, no. I see. Okay, I see. I was having difficulty. This is the cable car. Okay, this here is the cable car. You were probably seeing this better than I was. This is the cable car. This is, I don't know if this is the rescuer or a student, but let's watch how this goes. Okay, so they're attempting to pluck people out of the cable car. Okay, somebody is in the cable car right now. Now they've jumped out. See them? Oh my God. Hey, people pay for these kind of thrills. Oh, what a terrible situation. 2 people still up there. They've called off the helicopter rescue. They got 5 people out. That's what's happening in Pakistan. Whew. I don't need that in my life. All right, let's see here. San Francisco's Archdiocese. That's fancy word for their Catholic community. San Francisco's Catholic community, their Archdiocese, has filed for bankruptcy. Filing for bankruptcy. In their disclosure, they're worth about $500 million. That's right. Bankruptcy can't pay your bills. Worth $500 million. Why are they declaring bankruptcy? Why would the Catholic Church, one of the probably the wealthiest single organization in the world, you have any idea of the stuff the Catholic Church has hidden around? Anyway, one of the reasons that I'm a lapsed Catholic, because I can't believe they go around, with hungry people, feeding them gruel. I'm like, hey, sell one of those paintings. If you could save Africa just by selling like 15 paintings. So stop acting like, you're down there. Anyway, I got a problem with my Catholic faith. My problem is that I have no Catholic faith anymore. I am culturally Catholic, though. I do like being culturally Catholic. I do enjoy that. Anyway, the San Francisco Archdiocese, they've had to file bankruptcy. Why? Because, they just molested too many kids over the years. They just, they couldn't help themselves. Hey, it was the 70s. There were no rules. 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s. Stop acting like it was a long time ago. Catholic Church. So, they had to file for bankruptcy. Even though they had $500 million. They got $500 million, but look, I think one by one we need to slay these dragons. And when I mean dragons, I mean these gigantic archdioceses that exists in these in these American cities, where they have just systematically and as a matter of routine molested and then absolved the pedophiles. To great profit in the community. I mean, the whole Catholic Church, to me, To me, the whole Catholic, here's my problem with the Catholic Church. To me, the Catholic Church has always just seemed like an ancient timeshare con. You know what a timeshare con is? And this is specific to the Catholic Church. I say this as a Catholic. I say this as somebody educated in Catholic school. I say this as somebody who went to church, who made his community. I'd say this as a Catholic kid. It's always seemed to me to be a bit of an ancient timeshare scam. It's back when it was started, back when, and by the way, this is where my grandma always got into her hole. We're the real Christians. Those other people, they're not real Christians. Back when Catholicism started, by Jesus. Jesus started our church. Well, I mean, wasn't it technically Peter, who was the first Archbishop of Rome? Wasn't that, Peter? Well, at the very worst, Catholicism was started by Jesus' best friend. Right? There you go. So that's good. But it all started back in ancient times when they hooked people. They needed to make money. So, you'd get your tithings, you'd get your money, you'd come to church or whatever, and you'd give a little something. And what were they giving money for? They were giving money for a condo in heaven. That's what they were giving money for. The Catholic Church built its great wealth essentially on a fake timeshare. That if you are a good Catholic, if you do adhere to this faith, just so you know, we're the real Christians. We're the ones that are actually going to heaven. So, make sure that every Christmas you give a little something extra, and make sure that at special holidays you give a little something extra. But every month or every Sunday, you better be there in those pews, and you better have your family check in hand or whatever it is. Because if you don't, you're not going to get that timeshare in heaven. That's all it is. So they have this great wealth, and they've been molesting children for decades, probably centuries, if we're being honest about it. And it's not to say that it's only happening in the Catholic Church. We know that ain't true. I mean, how many Virginia youth pastors are currently in prison? So let's not pretend like it's the Catholic Church. The great crime of the Catholic Church is that they covered it up. That they not only covered it up, but they created this machine, this apparatus that was designed specifically to cover it up. And they have never answered for that. Never. Now, why do the Virginia youth pastors, why do they go to jail? Because there is no apparatus. There is no, 2,000-year-old infrastructure. And there is no godlike human sitting on a throne in a pointy hat in Rome who is going to protect this youth pastor from Virginia. And he doesn't deserve the protection, is my point. And neither does the priest in San Francisco who gets moved to Modesto because he diddled a kid who talked. But that's what the Catholic Church did. So let them all go bankrupt. Let them all go bankrupt. Let them start over from scratch. All right, moving on. Hey, more Catholicism talk here as a story locally comes into focus. This is, the story about these Fort Worth nuns that are going to war with the Bishop of Fort Worth. Have you seen this? Let's watch this story. I know that this seems like a lot of Catholic stuff. But I think these are all interesting things, especially since I am a Catholic, and there is so little Catholic news, certainly here in Texas. All right, here, let's watch this. Let's enjoy it. Wait, actually, I should probably make it louder because I had it low. Yes, I did. Okay, here we go. Let's watch this.
As one or more nuns from the Carmelite. The bishop of the Fort Worth Catholic Diocese says one or more nuns from the Carmelite Monastery in
Can I just point out?
Arlington may be excommunicated after they issued a strongly worded statement over the weekend denying his authority over them.
This is the latest in the public legal dispute between the Carmelite nuns and Bishop Michael Olson that we've been bringing you for nearly 4 months. Today, the Fort Worth Diocese did not provide any clarity to possible next steps in the saga, only referring us back to Olson's response to the nun's statement. Friday evening, they posted a statement accusing Olson of, quote, unprecedented interference, intimidation, aggression, and private and public humiliation. They forbade him from their property and from contacting them. Their letter says, quote, no one who abuses us as the current Bishop of Fort Worth has any right to our cooperation or obedience. In his response, Olson said in part,
All
Reverend
right,
Mother
hold
Teresa
on. Just as a Catholic, let me just tell you, you don't do that. That is not something nuns do. That is not something that nuns do to the priest at the church they're assigned. You certainly don't speak out against the archbishop of your diocese. You don't. That's not out of pecking, and you certainly don't do it as a nun. Nuns have no rights in the Catholic Church. They are essentially slaves. All right, so are you following the story? So basically, the Archbishop of Fort Worth told the nuns to do something, and by the way, they haven't revealed why he's pissed at the nuns. They haven't revealed that yet. He told the nuns to do something, and they're like, "We're not doing that." Oh, he tried to kick the nuns out of their nunnery. Let's just call it a nunnery. He tried to kick the nuns out of their nunnery, and they're like, "We ain't leaving." And he's like, "You better leave." And he's like, "We ain't leaving because you're a jerk, and we don't think you should be the archbishop anymore." And so he's like now going to excommunicate all of these nuns, right? This is just a pissing match between a very little man who was given a cool red little cap. There he is in his cool red little cap. This is a story of a very powerful man who made some very strange life choices. Remember, this man has never been with a woman. This man has never had a normal human relationship that he's willing to speak about anyway. And that is the reason for this problem. One of these nuns was accused of saying that she had broken her vow of celibacy with a priest. She said this, one of these nuns. This is the epicenter of this issue. One of the nuns said, and I believe it wasn't recent. I think it was like in the past. I think she said, and so this got to the Archbishop of Fort Worth, who without any kind of trial or anything tried to excommunicate her. And that's why he wants them out. So, okay, so let's listen to the story knowing that
Agnes Gerlach may have incurred excommunication and, quote,
here, a little more context here.
In the public legal dispute between the Carmelite nuns and Bishop Michael Olson that we've been bringing you for nearly 4 months. Today, the Fort Worth Diocese did not provide any clarity to possible next steps in the saga, only referring us back to Olson's response to the nun's statement. Friday evening, they posted a statement accusing Olson of, quote, unprecedented interference, intimidation, aggression, and private and public humiliation. They forbade him from their property and from contacting them. Their letter says, quote, no one who abuses us as the current Bishop of Fort Worth has any right to our cooperation or obedience. In his response, Olson said in part, Reverend Mother Teresa Agnes Gerlach may have incurred excommunication and, quote, the other nuns, depending on their complicity in Mother Teresa Agnes's publicly scandalous and schismatic actions, could possibly have incurred.
That's the publicly scandalous and schismatic actions, because she apparently told somebody that at some point she had sex and it was with a priest.
The same. Excommunication is an ecclesiastical penalty intended to reform Catholics who commit a significant canonical crime. They are prohibited from receiving sacraments or from exercising leadership in the church. Olson also said the Monastery of the Most Holy Trinity, located just southeast of I-20 and the 287 interchange, will remain closed to the public until the nuns disavow the actions of the Reverend Mother. The fracture between the bishop and the nuns comes as the nuns are still involved with an internal church appeal over the bishop's actions this spring. You might remember.
She's in a wheelchair. Okay, this is the nun that he's beating up on. She's in a nun. I mean, look, I've got some pretty rough history with nuns. I've seen the dark side of nuns, but she's a nun. You want to talk about a bad look? How about being a big, fat, old man, you're like a monarch in the Catholic Church, just beating up on a nun in a wheelchair? That's what's kicking a nun in a wheelchair. What is she undergoing? What is this? What is this? Well, she got something wrong. A sick nun in a wheelchair. He's kicking them out. It's not a good look, you arrogant jerk.
He dismissed the Reverend Mother from her leadership position after learning she had told 2 people she may have violated her vow of chastity with a priest, something she later recanted. The Reverend Mother and another nun filed a civil suit against the bishop. In June, a judge decided he didn't have jurisdiction to hear the religious dispute in civil court.
Good judge.
Just last month, the nuns dropped their plans to appeal, so the internal church legal process could continue. The bishop had allowed priests to return to the monastery and restored daily mass for the nuns. No word whether these
Look at how beautiful that property is. It's a Catholic church, man. Tell you, they got all the good real estate.
volleys in the saga will change that.
So far, there's been no response from the nuns to the bishop's statement. According to their website, the nuns are on a retreat through Sunday.
Yeah, that's what nuns do. They go off on those retreats. I saw that story, and I was thinking, you get a bunch of nice little nuns. They live in a nunnery. Literally, it's a monastery. It's like remote. They're not doing anything wrong except loving their God and, maybe... Look, again, we can get it. You know what? Never mind. We're moving on. Next topic. I just realized I'm uncomfortable defending nuns, but that dude looks like an a-hole, and what he's doing is some real a-hole stuff, and it needs to be made public. It's a bad look. Trying to make homeless some nun in a wheelchair. A nun. Anyway. Michael Irvin is trending. How about this? Michael Irvin is trending. Michael Irvin, the playmaker, our guy right here, Dallas Cowboy. Michael Irvin is trending because he's going to. All right. So last we heard about Michael Irvin, he was on the NFL Network. He was a very popular, very provocative and entertaining personality centered around the NFL Network's NFL coverage. Last year during the Super Bowl, got accused of playing a little grab ass or something in the lobby of some hotel. Somebody complained. Somebody squealed. And he got suspended by NFL Network. Super Bowl week of last year, he was off the air. We sent Michael Irvin home because his behavior certainly does not exemplify that of the NFL Network, or any of our corporate spots. It was that bullshit. So Michael Irvin ain't been anywhere since like the Super Bowl was. Just the other day, I think it was on the Radio Misfits show. He said, hey, whatever happened with Michael Irvin in that whole thing? And we looked it up, and I was like, I don't know. I have no idea what happened. Well, here's what's happening. Michael Irvin is apparently about to resurface where he's going to jump on FS1. That's right, FS1. And he's going to be with who? He's going to apparently be working with Skip. That's right. Breaking news. Former Cowboy star Michael Irvin lands surprise new job after being suspended by the NFL Network. We don't know what happened with that. This is not the way to go through life. We can't do this, folks. We can't just have Michael Irvin at the Super Bowl last year get headlines for playing grab ass and he's a disgusting beast of a man and no corporations want to be associated with him, and the NFL Network has to send him home, and then nothing for 8 months. And then he's got a job again. Hey, look at this. See if he can get paid even more than he was in NFL Network. Why? Because we're a bunch of idiots. Because we don't stick with anything. Because we react in the moment. We all got mad, or not we all, I didn't. I think it was funny. We talked about it. We tried to break down the video. Remember? We showed the entire video and we broke it down frame by frame. But there were people like, cancel him. And then they move on to the next thing. And then ESPN, or not ESPN, the NFL Network and all of their corporate sponsors, they're gutless. They're just trying to survive the moment. You can't blame them. They're right to. Look at what happened to Bud Light. They're just trying to survive the moment. So, okay, fine. He's fired. We agree with you. He's fired. He's gone. And then because we don't really care about truth, all we care about is the joy we get from whatever emotion we're going to just orgy with in the moment. I feel so good because I'm one of these people on the left, and anytime somebody presents themselves as a candidate for cancelization, I say cancel them. And then when it happens, I feel such satisfaction. The endorphins go off in my brain, and it is downright orgasmic. And then I just go on with my life, and Michael Irvin's life is destroyed, and we don't ever give it any other thought. And then 8 months later, he's back. Why? Because we forgot we don't care. Because nobody really cared in the beginning. It was not a big deal. That was not the kind of thing you needed to end the man's life at the NFL Network over. Anyway, Michael Irvin's TV limbo has apparently come to an end. 8 months. That's it. 8 months. By the way, Louis C.K., I saw a story. Louis C.K. made $30 million last year. Yeah. Cancel me, baby. Cancel me. Go ahead, crazy left. Keep canceling people, because when you cancel people, it's starting to turn out that that's the best thing that you can do to them, because it frees them from the apparatus. It frees them from the machine, which is Hollywood or whoever. And they go out now in an era where they can connect with people one by one. They got all kinds of new fans. You know how many new Louis C.K. fans he got from like crazy right-wing people who were just like, he's been canceled, we must love him. You know, that whole thing. So go ahead. Stop canceling people. Doesn't work, because nobody cares. Nobody is really, unless it's terrible. Weinstein, look, here's the thing. If you want to cancel somebody, there better be a jail sentence hanging over his head. Because otherwise, just knock it off. Just knock it off. Here's what I would suggest as somebody who considers themselves a progressive-minded moderate. Toughen up. The world is really difficult. Just toughen up. Stop being triggered by every little thing. Ugh. Michael Irvin's TV limbo has apparently come to an end after 8 months. According to John Orand of Sports Business Journal, Michael Irvin has agreed to a deal on Monday to join the rotating cast of FS1's Undisputed. Undisputed is a show that has Skip Bayless. And it used to have Skip's always had a bunch of different people. But here was the rumor. Shannon Sharp. It was Shannon and Skip. And that was a good show, man, because Shannon and Skip, they sometimes, it was a good show. It was a good show. Skip Bayless sucks. I can't tell you how much I despise Skip Bayless. Skip Bayless as a human being, Skip Bayless as a real guy in the real world is a dickhead. Skip Bayless on the air is a dickhead. Skip Bayless is a dickhead, okay? That's just my personal experience with the guy. And you want to know something else? His brother, the chef, his brother is a famous chef. His brother's kind of a dick too, if I'm being honest. I saw his brother at the restaurant show in Chicago. I was working it with a branding agency I was a part of, and we were shooting him for some kind of display thing from one of his advertisers, one of the people that sponsors whatever it is that he does. What's his name? Rick Bayless. It's Rick Bayless. And he was just a prima donna. He was just a real. And it was weird because I had interviewed him before when I was on the radio, and he was really nice to me when I was a member of the media who had a live audience, and I thought he was really cool. But then when I was just like a guy setting up the lights and making sure the cameras were good and making sure the production went out, he was a dick. He was like a prima donna. He was a total bitch. How is this light going to make me look? So I don't like Skip Bayless or his restaurateur brother, Rick Bayless. And his brother's very famous. He's a very famous restaurateur. He used to have like a show on Food Network and stuff, or I don't know what it was. Anyway, here's the story. Skip Bayless, after Shannon left, there was all these rumors. Rachel Nichols was one of the people they were going to put opposite of. And just a whole bunch of, with all due respect to Rachel Nichols, she is an interviewer, and she is a tremendous interviewer. She is not a debater, and she is not somebody that I want to see go toe-to-toe with Skip Bayless, who is an overbearing bore of a human being. So there were all these names being floated, and everybody was like, oh my God, Skip Bayless obviously doesn't want to debate anybody. He doesn't want the guy they should put honestly, here's the guy they need to put opposite Skip Bayless. That's Nick Wright. I don't know if you guys know any of this stuff. Nick Wright is fearless. He also drives me nuts. He's full of S. He's like a 35-year-old trying to make his name, coming out of nowhere, trying to be the next great Esther in the sports world, if you will. But he's entertaining, and he would not be afraid of Skip Bayless at all. Skip Bayless would have to debate a fast, hungry 35-year-old. But no, he didn't want that. And that was actually, Nick Wright was one of the first choices. And Skip said, absolutely not. Didn't want it. Nick Wright would get the reference. Skip Bayless is this old man. He's probably about 70 years old now. And he tries to use the lingo of the kid. He tries to be cool because he's hanging out with, or he wants to hang out with 23-year-old pro athletes, but they all hate him because he's a D-bag. So they were going to put all these easy people against him. So here's the list now. They've decided it's going to be Skip Bayless on Undisputed every day, and then there's going to be a rotating cast of people he's going to debate with. The three people that Skip Bayless will now be forced to debate are not a collection of Rachel Nichols types, but it's also not the hungry firebrand and Nick Wright. But they are some good choices. So Undisputed is now going to be Skip Bayless versus Richard Sherman. Could be interesting. Richard Sherman is a very smart man, Stanford educated. He's got a lot to say. Richard Sherman's always got hot takes and always got opinions, and they're always very smart. Richard Sherman. Keyshawn Johnson. Keyshawn Johnson is a little different than Richard Sherman. I used to enjoy Keyshawn Johnson on his morning show. He used to do a morning show with Jay Williams and Max Kellerman. And I enjoyed that morning show. Keyshawn Johnson is more laid back, who sits and simmers and simmers and simmers, and then he boils over and he'll go off on you and he will take you down. So that'll be interesting to watch, Keyshawn Johnson, because he's going to sit there listening to Skip Bayless go on and on and on and try and dominate the show, and then Keyshawn will just go off. And, of course, the guy we're talking about, Michael Irvin. Michael Irvin. So it's going to be Richard Sherman, Keyshawn Johnson, and Michael Irvin going head-to-head against Skip Bayless. That ought to be interesting. Undisputed is a good show, even though I dislike intensely Skip Bayless. I liked Shannon. I was a Shannon Sharp guy. All right, what else do we have here? What else is trending? Run through these trends. Let's see. Hold on, folks. Don't forget to tip the show if you can. The show runs on your contributions. Treat me like I'm your bartender. Treat me like I'm your pizza delivery guy. Drop a little something in the Venmo, a little something in the Cash App. It'll be greatly appreciated. And go to Ensure. I don't know if anybody's tipped today. I don't know if anybody is insured yesterday's show. Remember, today's show is being brought to you by Frank and April. Frank and April are the executive producers of today's show. Who will be the executive producers tomorrow? Kid Rock is trending. Kid Rock is trending because, and again, this goes back to what I was just saying with the go ahead, crazy mob on the left who tries to cancel everybody for things that, you just really need to be tougher about. Kid Rock is like surging in popularity. Kid Rock is surging in popularity despite the fact that over the weekend there was a picture made public of him drinking Bud Light. There are a couple pictures, actually. Apparently, he drinks Bud Light all the time. It's not a thing. Why? Because it's just performative. But a bunch of you guys, not you, not people in this chat room, but a bunch of you guys out there, you're starting fights in liquor stores because some dude picks up a thing of Bud Light. Meanwhile, Kid Rock, he's got an AK. Remember he made the video where he destroyed the pallet of Bud Light? Yeah, that's him. That's what he's doing on social media. Meanwhile, he's going out in his everyday life and people are going, you want beer? And he's like, I'll take a beer. And they're like, Bud Light, cool. He's like, fine by me, man. Beer is beer. Because that's the attitude. Because beer is beer. Stop it. So Kid Rock was photographed having a nice conversation with somebody while clutching a can of Bud Light. And we got him. Look, I hate Kid Rock. I think Kid Rock's a D-bag. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy the bow to bang to bang. I mean, like if I've, a couple of drinks in and I'm having a good time, hell yeah. I like that parody song that he did to Sweet Home Alabama. Yeah, that's what I call it. It's a parody song. He just took the music to Sweet Home Alabama and wrote new lyrics. I don't give a shit that he wasn't trying to be funny. It was a parody song or whatever you would call that. He just took, what was that song? Yeah, the Kid Rock song that's got, it's Sweet Home Alabama, but it's him singing something else. I don't know, whatever. That's a good song. It's a good song though. It is a good song. Apparently, he is shooting up the charts on Spotify and he has gained over 10,000 new people on Instagram. So this is a part of a story that's talking about when certain people, well, it echoes what I was just saying about canceling. Go ahead, keep canceling people. They appreciate it now. In the beginning, it was scary, but if you're going to start trying to cancel people and persecute people for stupid things that you really ought to be tougher about, just go ahead. They're going to welcome it. I used to think that it was difficult to be a comedian if you were a conservative, because the conservative point of view is always a bit more serious, a bit more stuffy, and a bit more, well, in a lot of people's estimation, heartless, cruel, thoughtless, uncaring, let's say that. So I used to think it would be difficult. Do you know the conservative comedic scene in America is keeping comedy clubs afloat from coast to coast. Nobody is going to see comedians who are adhering to all the so-called rules of new society. You know what they're going to see? They're going to see Louis C.K. They're going to see Dave Chappelle. They're going, and lesser than that, on the lower level, they're going to see everybody who appears on Joe Rogan. They're going to see everybody who. That's the comedy scene that's thriving. And I'll tell you, I've recently have tried to become more familiar with comedy, modern comedy. I got out before I stopped watching it. So I've gotten into the modern comedy scene over the past year or so because my son is really into it. And I watch all of these guys. I watch all these so-called canceled comedians. He told a joke about a crippled kid. He should never work again. You know, so I've seen a lot of these guys. They're hysterical. They're hysterical. I'm like, this guy's great. And then you watch their full act and you're like, well, they don't seem like crazy right-wing MAGA Trump supporters. As a matter of fact, he did a whole run about how, you know, he's responsible for multiple abortions. I mean, I don't see how. So let's stop it. Let's stop with the canceling. Let's stop with the canceling of Kid Rock. Kid Rock is actually thriving right now, made more money last year than in any year of his career. Yeah. And in the days following the so-called canceling or the outing or the lampooning, we caught him. Gotcha, kid. With your can of Bud Light. He's stupid. He's a dummy. He doesn't even think like that. Why? Because he doesn't really give a shit about Bud Light. He's just fucking around. He's just having fun. He's Kid Rock. He's just, you know, come out. He didn't think you people would take it this serious. I mean, he doesn't care that you did. But he's still going to grab a cold Bud Light if it's right there. And we saw video proof of it or camera proof of it over the weekend. And everybody jumped on him. And guess what? Didn't hurt him at all. Him being exposed. Because that's one narrative. He's a hypocrite. Look at him. He's a hypocrite and people don't care. What, you're surprised that people don't care about hypocrisy? Have you not been watching the world over the past 5 years? There is hypocrisy left and right. It's tribal. He's on their team, you know, so they're going to embrace him. And whenever he has an embarrassing moment, he's going to tick up. Because remember, there is a countermeasure. The weight that tries to sink him is now being met by a counterweight. We got to stop with this on both sides too, by the way. Both sides, you know, the right was really big on canceling, and they always try to cancel for stupid things, you know, and then but the left tries to cancel for stupid things too, but the left tries to cancel everything. So the left is just canceling everything. The right has not been as cancel happy recently, I think. Give me an example. Give me an example of someone the right tried to cancel. I mean, they always try to cancel, like right cancellations, you know, like Target, Bud Light, that kind of thing. Those are big ones. Those are really big ones. And they're against things and ways of life. And, you know, when was the last time the right tried to cancel an individual and it worked? Has the right ever canceled an individual and it worked? It can't, right? It's like that's not a thing. So they're not really involved. So I would really just kind of direct this rant to the left. Stop with the cancelings. Just stop it. Oh, I know it's fun. We got him. You know, when you read that tweet, so-and-so has resigned his post. We got him. And for a minute, we get these little bursts of adrenaline, these endorphins, these beautiful, delicious wine-like drugs that soak into our brain, and we feel like we've accomplished something when we actually hasn't. And we moved on. All right. Also trending today, masks. Masks are trending. Why? Because masks. Warner Brothers lot. You work in Hollywood on the Warner Brothers lot or anything like that, the mask mandates are back. So they started colleges too. Apparently, a bunch of colleges now. The students are back. We got mask mandates now at all these colleges now. Why? Because if you listen to the High Noon Show, do you listen? Do you watch the High Noon Show every day? Then you know why. Because 2 weeks ago, I told you when a new variant dropped. We hadn't talked about the new variants in a year. And then at one point, a couple of weeks ago, I said, guys, it's a big day. We got a new COVID variant dropping. And it dropped. And guess what? It's everywhere. It is everywhere. Now, here's the good news about the new COVID variant. What's it called? EG5. Here's the new thing about here's the good news. It ain't that bad. Like it ain't like as hardcore as, but it's totally resistant to the vaccine. So it is morphed totally. I shouldn't say totally. I don't know totally. I just know that they're like, yeah, it doesn't really matter if you've been vaxxed or not. This one seems to be getting through. But the good news is you're probably not going to go to the hospital because this one isn't quite as. With that being said, my buddy Brandon, who hangs out in the chat room from time to time, you see him pop by, you give him your best. Brandon just went through some hell. He just spent 2 weeks in the hospital with COVID. Just got out yesterday. Yesterday, he texted me. I thought he was ghosting me. I've been trying to reach out to him for some things. Sacred Oils, Brandon, our good friends. I tried to reach out to him for some things. I'm like, he's ghosting me. What the hell is this about? Then he texted me yesterday. Hey, man, I just got out of the hospital. I had COVID. Woo! Woo! Yeah, Frank says, Frank, producer of today's show, says COVID in time for elections and mail-in ballots and No. Here's the thing. No, don't go in that direction, Frankie. That's not going to happen. You are right. COVID back. These mask mandates just in time for the election. Why? There ain't nobody. Won't this be an interesting test? Do you think Biden is going to endorse masks? Look, most of us don't want to wear masks again. We get it. We understand it. If we get sick, it's like the flu. This one, you're telling us it's like the flu. This one isn't the granny's dead in her chair variant that, we were all scared to death of. No, this one's a little bit less. Don't nobody running for office, be them Democrat or certainly not at the national level. Nobody trying to get votes in both California and West Virginia is going to endorse mask mandates. So that'll be an interesting thing to look for, Frank. Frank points out a very interesting thing. Let's watch as the election sees, because now if we're talking about mask mandates, watch, you will see. Nobody will be for them. Not in an election year. Nope. That's too divisive of an issue. Biden will give you shit. Biden, if it wasn't an election year, he'd be like, all right, gang. Everybody put on the masks. Right? That's what he'd be like if it wasn't an election year. But it's an election year. So he's going to be like, well, I don't know. Yeah, he's going to hedge because he's not going to want. He needs those middle independents. This is a mess. Anyway, Lionsgate brings back their mask mandates, as do various universities around the country, as students and new filming. Wait, no filming. The writer's strike isn't scheduled or isn't settled. I don't know what's real anymore. My whole world has turned into a gay wedding. No idea. It's fun. Don't get me wrong. I'm having the time of my life, but I don't know what's happening here. Is it starting again? A Hollywood studio has instituted a mask mandate for its employees in light of the current COVID wave. Lionsgate sent an email to staff asking them to mask up on certain floors for its Santa Monica. Okay, I don't care. We get it. It's back. It's back, baby. Apparently not as bad as the other one. However, balance that with the knowledge that our friend Brandon, who hangs out in the chat room, just got out of the hospital after 2 weeks with COVID. So that's not that bad. Don't worry about this one. Tell Brandon. He's pretty healthy. Yeah, he's not like, I don't know. Wasn't an easy one for him. Modern homes. Here's an interesting story that we can talk about. Modern homes. There's a story that was trending earlier today about modern homes and how modern homes are smaller. Yeah. And so here's what I wanted to bring up, and I wanted to talk a little bit about this. So obviously the tiny home craze of a couple years ago was a big thing, but those are novelty homes. That's not, you're not going to have tiny home built. What are you going to live in a Smurf village? Huh? What, you seriously? There's going to be entire villages of tiny. No, there won't. Or maybe there will. I don't know. It just seems like a weird thing. But what is a very real thing, and anyone who's bought a home or purchased a new home, decided which model of the new home that they like, there've always been, for me anyway, this issue. There are rooms and stuff in homes that do not need to be there. And the modern home, that's what the story is about. The modern homes are smaller, in some cases by up to 700 feet. Why? Because they're eliminating things. They're eliminating things that are just remnants of a bygone era that are not practical for a modern family unit. And I love this. And the homes, by account, the homes are becoming smaller. They're becoming, here, I think there's a picture of one. I'll show you one of these small houses. They're not tiny homes. These are not tiny homes. This is a real house. You know, this is like if you're driving through the neighborhood, you're like, these are nice houses. They're just a little smaller than maybe what we've been. You know what I would compare them to? The kind of house that existed in this country until about 1980, when everybody needed to have a McMansion, because suddenly they qualified mortgage-wise for a McMansion. And then everybody got used to their, 3,000-4,000 square foot home in a beautiful, and we used to have normal houses. You know, the city of Chicago is famous for their bungalow neighborhoods. These are houses. These aren't McMansions. These aren't tiny houses, but they're small houses. They're small houses. They're bungalows. They have 3 bedrooms, a kitchen, a front room. Now they have basements, which double the size because most of the basements are decked out and there's an extra bedroom back there and bathrooms. Anyway, my point is this. We used to live in smaller houses. Go look throughout the South here. Go look in the oldest neighborhoods, these shotgun shacks. There was a time when these houses were fine. They were not always like, a representation of poverty that we think of now when we think of the shotgun shack. But people used to live, just normal people. Now, something happened around 1980 where we all decided that now we needed a 4-car garage and an in-ground swimming pool because, God damn it, we're just going to die in debt. That's what we decided as Americans. So there's this new craze now, and it's being driven by millennials and Gen Z, and God love them. All the kids who grew up in the McMansions, watching their dads sweat the mortgage payments every month, they're buying smaller homes. And some of the things that are missing from these homes might surprise you, but they're pretty cool. For instance, no bathtubs. Bathrooms are smaller. They're cutting the rooms out and getting rid of bathrooms bathtubs because nobody takes a bath. They're just showers. All the bath and here's the other thing, that all the bathrooms have a shower because it's smaller. So no more of these just little closet bathrooms, off the room. No, if there's a little closet bathroom, it's going to have a shower in there. All right, here's another thing that's missing. Dining rooms. Dining rooms are not being designed into these new homes. Dining rooms are a massive waste of space in 95% of the homes that have them. I'd say maybe there's 5% of people in this country who have weekly dinner parties where we bring the people into the dining room. Most people use their dining room at Thanksgiving if they're hosting Christmas and, maybe an anniversary or something. Nobody uses dining rooms. You know what dining rooms are for the rest of the year? Dining rooms are a place where you stack books. A dining room table is a place where you put just nonsense for, I would say, 50 weeks out of the year. The dining room. So these places don't have dining rooms. They also don't have living rooms. Living rooms are gone. No more living rooms. I can't tell you how many people I know who have homes, who have living rooms with beautiful furniture, beautiful china that nobody ever goes into, nobody ever looks at. That's just a room. That's just a sink. That's a money hole room. Nobody has ever, this is where, when the insurance man comes door to door and I ask him, would you like some coffee? We sit in them. Nobody does that. That's not a real thing. You know where people live? Great rooms. People live in family rooms. People live in rec rooms. So living rooms are being eliminated. Bathtubs are being eliminated. Dining rooms are being eliminated. The size of what used to be called utility rooms are being halved because they now have these washer and dryers that stack on top of each other. So it's just almost like a closet as opposed to having to be a whole room with a sink and a runoff and a dryer. God, get out of here. See, yeah, you killed me. You just killed me. Sorry, guys. The dog decided that after licking the sweat off my leg for the last 40 minutes, what she was doing, which was driving me insane. Yeah, the lights went out. That's fine. I think we're okay. Oh, my God. Did you unplug my computer? You son of a... She just made me mad. Why? All right, guys, hold on. I got to unplug all of this stuff again. Hold on a second, okay? Just give me a second. We got more to do. Little nut bag. No, you're not going out. You're not going out. I got to deal with this now. I have no idea what you unplugged. All I know is that my computer doesn't work now. The lights went out. No, get out of here. I am not down here to play with you. Get out of my face. Ugh. All right. Yes. Yes, you're a good girl. Just not right now. You're not a good girl. Go lay down. Here, eat this. Here you go, good girl. Okay, lay down. All right, we are back. Sorry about that. She makes me so mad. Do you know? Oh, my son and I felt so bad for this dog. CeeLo's her name. She's a Catahoula and she's out of her mind. So my kid and I, we were laying on the big bed. We were laying on the big giant bed. We were watching movies. And this is Saturday night, and the dog is in there with us, and the dog is just staring at us. And here is what the dog is doing on Saturday night. Outside, it's probably still 103 or so. If you remember how hot it was Saturday, it was like 110 on Saturday. So it's still really hot outside, and my kid and I are watching this movie. And here's the dog. This is the dog, just staring at us at the side of the bed as we watch this movie. This went on for about 40 minutes before both me and my son just absolutely lost our minds on this poor dog. I mean, we didn't hurt her. We love her. But get out of this room. All right, so it was this. It was this for a good 40 minutes. For a good 40, and we tried to block it out. We were like, that's kind of annoying, isn't it? And my kid's like, it's driving me nuts. I'm like, it's driving me nuts too. I love her, but she is high maintenance. She is such a, yeah. Okay, yeah. Figure some people probably, hold on. There we go, just so people know. Look at her. Hey, look at the people. Yeah, we're talking about you, you little troublemaker. That's her. She sucks. She knows she's in trouble. But see her tail? Her tail. Okay, go ahead, lick your stuff. All right, hold on. Boop. There we go. Okay. That's it. Just in case you didn't know who we were talking about. She's the dog. Where were we? We were talking about modern homes. Yeah. Okay. So, I think these are great innovations. I really do, because when I bought that house a couple of years ago, I remember I had a living room right when you walk in. There's a front door. There's a living room. That living room was empty the entire time I was in that house. We had a really cool rec room. We had a really cool media room. And then we had like a great room off the kitchen, and that had furniture, and those things were all wonderful. We had no reason. We had no reason for a dining room, and we had no reason for that front empty room. So those are being eliminated. Here, let me show you a picture of what some of these houses look like. So tell me what you think. Because they do look small. Like when you look at them, you're like, yeah, that's a smaller house. But, they're like the size of... So yeah. So, okay. So this is the Wall Street Journal, and they're not going to let me share this picture on this computer. I don't know why on this computer, on the other computer, the Wall Street Journal lets me in. I'm not a member of the Wall Street Journal. So let's do it this way. Let me show you what these look like. We'll go to the website of the company. That's how we'll do it. All right, you know what? Never mind. This is just all taking too long. And it's already 2:00, and we're not even almost close to being done. So we're going to keep going. Anyway, here's the headline. Goodbye bathtub, goodbye living room, goodbye dining room. America's homes are shrinking Faced with high mortgage costs, cost-constrained Americans are embracing smaller homes with more practicality. All right, there you go. More practical. All right, who else do we got here? Oh, here's an awesome one, man. This is pretty awesome. Okay, so here, let's show you this. Let's watch this. Local girl making good. We love her. I love her story. I really do. Sha'Carri Richardson. Do we know who Sha'Carri Richardson is? Carter's own. That's right. Dallas Carter's own Sha'Carri Richardson. She's the fastest woman in the world. She won the 100 meters in Budapest at the World Athletics Championships in a not a record-setting time. I think the record, the woman's record for the 100 meters is 10.49, and that was set in '88 by FloJo. Right? So it's not the record. Sha'Carri this was a world championships record that she set. She is one of only 6 people to have run this race in a 10.65. So she went 10.65, in her and FloJo, who went 10.49, and just 3 other people are the only people to ever run this fast. And anyway, so it was a very big moment. This is a really cool chick. I don't know if you know anything about her. She was suspended. No, what a story, man. What a story of being railroaded. As I said, she's a Dallas girl. She went to Dallas Carter. She came from a really difficult upbringing. She was raised by her aunt and her grandma. Her mom had a whole bunch of problems. I think her father died when she was young. She just threw herself completely into her athletics as a way of sort of dealing with what her childhood was all about. And it turns out one of the greats of all time. I mean, she's got a world record now. Cool chick. Works her whole life. Gets ready to go to the Olympics. Pops hot for weed. She's not allowed to go to the Olympics for her first. She's been training her whole life for it. This kid who comes from this absolute nonsense. She pops hot for weed. She popped hot for weed for a reason that, I mean, look, I totally get. And she sat down and she's talked about it. Look, this is all in the past. She explained exactly what happened. She's obviously not a drug addict. She is a world-class athlete. Her body is a temple. Okay. So if you're worried, and I've never understood how marijuana is supposed to be a performance enhancing drug. I don't know about you, but whenever I have smoked marijuana, I'm only in the mood to watch other people's performances. Whenever I smoke marijuana, I do not want to be performing. I just want to relax. So she popped hot for the marijuana thing because she took a hit off of a joint at her mother's funeral, which had happened a week before the test. Her mother had died. I mean, that's like documented. Her mom died a week before this test. And she explained, she said, look, I was with my family and we were sitting around and smoking a joint. And I'm like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. If your family is totally cool with that, as my family, I assume, would be, if your family, it's marijuana, it's like sipping wine. What, I need a drink. I mean, we're Irish. Do you know what Irish wakes are like? Everybody's getting messed up because everybody wants to celebrate instead of being sad. Everyone wants to celebrate this person and laugh about them and have fun with it. So when she says, look, I'm not a drug addict. I don't use drugs. I'm not a drug person. I go, my mom died last week. It's been an incredibly difficult time. And yes, sat around with some other family members and we shared a joint. Anyway, here's her race. This was such a cool race. This was, I think this was Sunday. Here, so let's show this. This is Dallas's own Sha'Carri Richardson. She is now the fastest woman in the world. Let's enjoy her work. Here we go. And then I have something else I want to tag onto this conversation. This is her right here in this lane, 9th lane. There she goes. Oh no, here she is, 9.
Is she just going to do it? Oh, on the near side, right at the end.
Well, that sounds tough. So let's watch it again.
Right,
here she is. Lane 9, right here.
Fraser-Price deliver. She's got a good start, but watch Shericka Jackson.
Nope.
Shericka Jackson, is she just going to do it?
Jesus.
Oh, on the near
She's
side.
missing her.
Right at the end.
That's the good thing about the 100 meters. It's quick.
No way, first time.
She's on the outside, far outside.
Fraser-Price deliver. She's got a good start, but watch Shericka Jackson.
God, they're hauling ass.
Shericka Jackson, is she just going to do it? Oh, on the near side. Right at the end. They were getting ready from nowhere in lane 9. It's an incredible performance from Sha'Carri Richardson. Richardson came through like a rocket in lane 9. Her first global final,
she got screwed in the Olympics,
and she
man.
tastes gold. The iconic 5 times champion was stunned. Richardson needed a better start than she got in the semis.
That angle. How
and she
cool is
came
that
through
angle?
in fine style, and maybe, just
Yeah,
maybe,
it's like she
being
just
in
got
lane
it.
9 was the
She
best.
won it with her last stride. It was her last stride that made it over because the stride before that was in second place. It was her last stride that put her over. That's awesome. Now, why do I bring this up? Because that is an incredible display of athleticism by somebody who I root for, by somebody who I think is kind of a cool, interesting little story, little fringe story in the athletic world. So FloJo's women's world record in the 100 meters is 10:49. Okay. The world record in the 100 meters is Usain Bolt, 9.5. Usain Bolt ran the 100 meters in 9.5. Fastest woman to ever run the 100 meters was FloJo at 10:49. So let's just call it 10.5. It's just 1 second. It's a second slower. So the absolute greatest female runner, and FloJo is considered to be one of the greatest sprinters to have ever lived. And well, look, she's got the record. So FloJo was a full 1 second behind the male who does the exact same thing. Now, it's important to point out, because when you say that biological men who transition to being a woman should not be allowed to compete in certain sports against other, well, you have to point to things like this. This is and it's not about restricting the rights of a minority class. If that's what we're going to put people who are choosing to transition, we're going to put them in a minority class. I don't think that's necessarily fair, because a minority is somebody who is born with a certain skin color and they have no choice over. But whatever. Okay, let's just call it that. Let's just say if we're going to put people who are transitioning, our brothers and sisters who are transitioning, if we're going to put them, let's put them in a minority class. Ugh. It makes no sense. How do I say this? How do I say this without, I'm not trying to say it to not get in trouble. I'm trying to say it so that it resonates. I'm trying to figure out a way to say. This isn't about being, there are two things happening here. This isn't about being against trans people who are just trying to live their life. That's not what this is about. That's not what this is about. What it's about is these women. Did you see these women? These were women who are, we know, at their absolute best representation of their gender is a full 1 second slower than what a man is capable of doing. We know this as a fact. I'm sorry, but I do take up for the female athletes in this situation. It is unfair to them. What if Usain Bolt? Let's not say Usain Bolt. What if the next Usain Bolt decides to transition? And you know what? Hey, a difficult decision. God love him. Live your life. That dude should not be allowed to run against Sha'Carri Richardson. Sha'Carri Richardson is a wonderful story. All that she has overcome, all that she has gone through in her life, the scandal with being kicked out of the Olympics. What if Usain Bolt, I don't know, what would the feminine of Usain be? I don't know. What if a female with the type of skill of Usain, but not even Usain Bolt's skill set, just a man, just a very fast sprinter man. That's not fair. Why is nobody taking up for the women? Everybody on the left is all about, this is about trans and you don't want them competing against women because you hate trans. No, it's because I don't think it's fair. I have a lot of friends who have daughters who are athletes. My friend Aaron has a daughter who is just an absolute superstar athlete. And I just don't know how fair it would be to understanding how hard she's worked throughout her life to get to this point in her career. And then to have her like somehow knocked off from something by some person, someone unnamed, fictional at this point, who, played 4 years on the men's team and is bigger and is faster. This is what I just don't get. Men are bigger and fast. I know a woman who's bigger than you. On the whole, men are bigger, men are stronger, men are faster. The apex of the athlete, the apex male athlete, and the apex female athlete, the apex male athlete is going to be able to lift more weight, run faster and run farther, and punch harder. I don't know what else it is. It just doesn't seem fair to women. And when I watch this Sha'Carri Richardson thing, and I'm like, man, how great is this? Look at her coming from the outside. Look at her. And then again, I keep talking about, the mom and the way she was raised and that she's a local girl and how all that shit went down at the Olympics where she wasn't allowed to compete. And now here she is. And look at her having this moment. And this is really great. This is really great for her. Now, what if it was an unfair, what if it was an unfair field? What if there was somebody, she ran this, she couldn't believe she ran it. She ran it in a 10.65. What if a dude ran it in a 10.64? Now that dude running it in a 10.64 is still a full-on second slower than Usain Bolt. So he's not even in the same category of the world-class male sprinters, but he certainly is the world's fastest woman. That's not fair. It's just not fair. I think that it should be, I don't think the gender should be any kind of an issue when it comes to something that is based on brain power. But if it's, if you're asking me to put my money on who I think's going to win the arm wrestling championship, is it going to be this girl or is it going to be this male arm wrestler? Putting your own money in. Who are you putting it on? You're putting it on the one that you believe to have the advantage. That's the male. That's the male arm wrestler. Anyway, congratulations to Sha'Carri Richardson, Dallas girl, Dallas Carter. Now let's move into this guy. I wanted to show you this because this kid got some. This kid's having a week. He is having him a week, and I think it's great. And we brought him to you here for the first time last week. I think we were. I'm gonna go ahead and take credit. We broke him like a full 2 days before he started popping up everywhere. Why? Because I work hard for you. I work hard here. Oh my God! Really? Is this gonna do this now? Hold on. I'm at my dog has unplugged some things, so . Yes, please. Go ahead. Load the ad. We're loading the ad, and it's taking a really long time. I'm talking about this Oliver Anthony kid. Remember this guy? He wrote that song, Rich Men North of Richland, that was immediately stolen by political agended people and turned into the new Confederate battle hymn. It's like that song, man. That song is a beautiful song that is absolutely not about what I think they're trying to make it be about. However, Oliver Anthony, the guy who wrote that song, he's something, man. He's a dude. And I want you to hear what he has to say. I want you to listen to him here. This is, he was on Fox News. Of course he was, because it's Fox News who is traveling around to all of his performances. Or he went from being a guy who wasn't even famous. He worked in like a mill or something. And he just wrote this song and performed it. And it went viral and it became a thing. And now it's like the #1 song in the world. I heard it coming out of 100 boats on Saturday at Lake Louisville. It has become, as I said, sort of a anthem to a certain group of people in this country with a political, and I'm not in that certain group of people, but I like the song. I think the song is great. Why? Because I think I get the song. I think I understand what he's singing about, and I think I get the vibe. Why? Because I think I have the exact same vibe he does. A lot of people think that. A lot of people are like me. I just did 10 minutes on how I don't think that people who are transitioning into women should be allowed to compete against other women in sports. So you might take that without the full context of me trying, at least, and I hope it came across that way, being respectful of the situation and certainly not offering any judgments about the moral choices or anything like that. I don't care about that stuff. I want people to just be people and be happy. So I hope I hope that with context you see that I'm not, but I've had people go, "You're like far right." I'm like, really? Get out of here. So anyway, and then of course I've had people go, "You know, you just a liberal." I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. Well, some things I am, I suppose. But really, I'm in the middle. And I'm in the middle, and I'm more about us, not where I am. I've been saying this for 2 years now, guys. You know this. We've been hanging out. For 2 years, I've been saying it's about us. It's not about us and them. It's about us collectively. Okay? Can we get past that shit? And so that's one of the things that I sort of recognized as a thread in this song. So here he is. I wanted to play this for you. This came here. Do I have it? Do we have it shaved? Yeah, there we go. And he's playing like some fair or something, and Fox News is showing up because he's a phenomenon. He's Oliver Anthony. You know, that whole thing. So a little interview with him. Let's listen to this kid. Listen to what this kid has to say about that song.
He makes a point to stay for as long as it takes, 2, 3, 4 hours, to meet and greet every one of his fans, make a connection, hear their stories, and to hear
our own country. We've had years of
music.
Yeah, well,
the public has reacted the way they did. Do you realize the crowd is touched by your music?
Yeah, well, it resonates the suffering in the world right now. Like even in our own country, we've had years of people feeling depressed and hopeless, and every time you look at the TV or get online, everything's negative. And so I think people are just desperate for something positive again. You know, like there's been a lot of people die for us to be able to stand on this dirt and do what it is we do every day, and we should be excited for it.
What do you hope comes of the song in your music? I know you turned $8 million down. You did a great statement. You said you don't want jets, you don't want tour buses. What do you want?
Just people to start appreciating each other for human beings and look beyond political differences and ideologies and a lot of things that I see corporate media and education doing, which is making everyone identify each other's differences and not their similarities. I want people to appreciate each other and appreciate each other's struggles, and hopefully just find the energy that was in this song and manifest it in people's own personal lives, and just trying to find similarities with each other instead of division. That's really all I want. I mean, I don't see our country lasting more than another generation the way we're headed. We've got to go back to the roots of what made this country great in the first place, which was our sense of community and we are the melting pot of the world, and that's what makes us strong is our diversity, and we need to learn to harness that and appreciate it and not use it as a political tool to keep everyone separate from each other, you know?
Yeah, I do know, Oliver Anthony. Well said, kid. Our diversity is our strength. I love that kid. I love that kid. I love that whole attitude. He has no control over who hijacks his song for whatever purpose. All he can do is speak openly about what he means it to be. Seems like a nice kid. He seems like a really nice kid. A southern kid. Where's he from? Virginia, West Virginia? Bit of a hillbilly. God love him. Salt of the earth type. Probably complicated. It's probably, you wait. Couple weeks, Oliver Anthony posted on Facebook 5 years ago. We're going to get that stuff. But man, he's on the big stage now. And that's the shit he chooses to say. Think about that. Think about all the people who get the opportunity to be on the big stage with the big camera and the big audience and everybody hanging on every word. And think about every one of these guys who are talking about what they're doing to you. And if you don't get with me, they're going to keep doing it. Think about all those people. And then think about that kid. And think about how that kid meshes with all those people. So then I ask you, could he be a powerful force in this whole crazy chaos that we have? Yes, he can. Because we got Trump. Trump is very much in control, and he is that guy. They're doing this thing, and he's ginning everybody up, and it's all about them and us. And then comes along this kid appealing to the exact same base, this kid. And what is this kid saying? Diversity is our strength. I don't know. So far, all I can go by is the song, beautiful. I see Adam Reyna says, my friend said it right. He gets this close to getting to the point, but he misses it. I think your friend and you are the ones who are missing the point, my guy. I love you, Adam, but no, don't agree with that at all. He nails the point, which is why it's a massively effective song. You're right. He missed the point. He didn't connect with anybody. No, he missed your point. You and your friend's point, because you and your friend are completely avoiding what he's trying to do, which is to get you to drop that whole thing where this is where I stand politically, so my lens is going to be this all the time. Stop with that lens, Adam. Just be a normal person. Just have, Adam, I know you. I have enjoyed Adam Reyna's company. He is a fun dude. He loves beer. He loves to hang out and talk. He can talk music. He's got a delightful wife. I know for a fact that if Adam Reyna was in a bar and he sat down next to that Oliver Anthony guy, I bet you two would get along great. I mean, look, I know it's part of the persona. Adam is aggressive online, and he always has been. And he's aggressive on the phones when he's calling to radio shows. That's been our history, and it's why I love him so much, and I appreciate him still being here. And we are friends outside of this. Adam and I are friends, and I know him not to be the provocateur that he is. I believe that in your heart of hearts, Adam Reyna, that you are very similar in that thought as me and Oliver Anthony. And so let's start building on that. You don't, because, somebody on Newsmax is walking around in an Oliver Anthony t-shirt, that has nothing to do with Oliver Anthony. That's that person taking that message and twisting it in a certain way. And, but that's not him. We just heard what he said. We just heard what the kid said. Seems like a good dude. How about a deadly milkshake? Should we talk about a deadly milkshake? Okay. So, apparently there's this place. It's up there in Washington State. There's a number of them. It is a fast food place known for their milkshakes. They have very, very delicious milkshakes. What's the name of the place? Frugal's milkshake, ice cream, hamburgers. It's one of these local regional places. Well, apparently they didn't clean the milkshake machine right, and now 3 people are dead. You believe that? You go to the Frugals, you get yourself the vanilla milkshake that's so delicious, and you're dead in a couple of hours. I don't know if it takes a couple of hours. I have no idea, really. 3 dead after drinking milkshakes tied to a listeria outbreak in Washington State. The state health department determined that milkshakes sold at Frugal's location in Tacoma, Washington, led to 6 hospitalizations and 3 deaths. The reason for this is because they didn't clean the milkshake machine. I can tell you, as somebody who has recently run a pizza kitchen, now you may not know this from the back seat of my car or any bedroom that I've ever occupied in my life, but when managing a kitchen, clean freak. You know why clean freak? You know why you go the extra mile when you're cleaning the kitchen? I know, and that's hard too, because kitchens, especially a busy, popular pizza restaurant, there's mess, there's sauce everywhere. It doesn't matter. You got to clean it every day like there's a photo shoot in the morning. Why? Because there's 3 dead people in Washington State from someone who didn't clean the milkshake machine. 3 dead people didn't clean the milkshake machine. Now, hey, here's the other fun fact. How you think Frugal's is going to be doing? I think Frugal's is going out of business. This is going to kill Frugal's. Frugal's ain't going to survive this. Frugal's probably been in business since 1954. They're done. They are done because some kid being paid $10 an hour didn't clean the milkshake machine. Woo! That's a rough one. In my hometown, where I grew up, my hometown of Orland Park, Illinois, shout out. My hometown of Orland Park, Illinois, we have this deli. Oh, so good. Iwan's Deli. First of all, Iwan's Deli had salads. Not salads, sandwich. I mean, it's a real deli. I mean, like really good sandwiches. You get whatever you want, all that stuff. But then also what they were known for is for their catering. So if you grew up where I grew up, in the neighborhood where I grew up, and you were celebrating an 8th grade graduation or, somebody's anniversary, come on over. It's his communion, something like that. If it was done well, it was catered by Iwan's. So you'd walk in and be like, oh, Iwan's. All right. They got the potato salad? You damn right. Nobody orders Iwan's without the potato salad. This place had legendary potato salad. Everybody loved the Iwan's potato salad. One day in 1999, apparently the refrigeration went off overnight in the Iwan's freezer, and then turned back on just as the new day was rising. So nobody knew that the refrigeration had been off for like an entire day. Well, 12 hours or something like that. And they had a big order of potato salad that had to go out. This also happened in, I want to say, June. So there were a lot of like backyard graduations and all that. Oh, I got to get that potato salad out. Yeah, the potato salad went bad. 5,600 people went to the hospital because of the Iwan's potato salad incident. Now, I was probably at a couple of parties back then where Iwan's potato salad, and I would normally enjoy some Iwan's potato salad. Hell, I may have ingested the salmonella. It was salmonella. I may have ingested the salmonella potato salad, but I'm just, I'm a rugged boy of good, strong Irish stock, so maybe it didn't take. Iwan's went out of business immediately, and they've never come back. And you know what? 20 years later, do you know that I still crave Iwan's potato salad? Not the one with the salmonella, the salmonella. Those. What a way to go, though. I'm telling you, it was delicious potato salad. It might be, would be like, man, what is that garlic? Is there garlic in this potato? I mean, it's just the most amazing. I can't tell if it's mustard based or if this is some kind of a homemade mayonnaise that has a mustard. It was amazing potato salad. And like then one day the potato salad killed everybody. Not killed him, it didn't kill anybody. That needs to be mentioned. Iwan's didn't kill anybody. So a lot of people went to the hospital. A lot of like really bad salmonella problems happening. And they went out of business. Out of business. No more Iwan's. Anybody? There you go, Kevin. I was gonna say there's got to be somebody. There's got to be somebody in the chat room from Illinois or from Orland. Kevin, I delivered for Iwan's this summer in college. Hey, how about that potato salad though? Okay, it was good potato salad. Like I could see why 5,600 people ate it over the course of a weekend. Think about that. 5,000. That's how popular this place was. 5,000. They're not feeding an arena. I mean, these were all individual backyard graduation parties, birthday parties, whatever. And all of this potato salad went out. 5,000, at least 5,600 people ate it and got sick. Kevin says the Iwans were nice people. Of course they were. They were probably just nice, innocent. And it turned out it wasn't their fault. I mean, it bankrupted them and put them out of business. Their insurance, it was just like, we just got to pay all of these people for eating bad stuff. They didn't know. Poor little old couple. I don't know where they ended, little old couple. I like to imagine. I don't think I ever. Wait a second. Was he like a short man with a mustache? Like I seem to remember, but maybe he might have just been the manager, like a short little man. Yeah, the fried chicken was amazing. Fried chicken at Iwan's was amazing. Never came back. I wonder if it did come back. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder if they got back in the game just under a different name. And now we don't know it because they stopped making potato salad. And now it's like a big thing in the family. Like Dad's potato salad could change the world, but he's afraid to make it because of the outbreak of 99. And the kids are always like, if we could ever get Dad's potato salad recipe, we could get back into the potato salad game. We could restore the good name Iwan from Stickney to Oak Forest. I don't know. I'm riffing. We're going late. We're a half hour into the overtime, and I still haven't even. All right, Deadly Milkshake. Michael Rockefeller. Michael Rockefeller, who is one of the Rockefellers. Michael Rockefeller is trending today because of a story that's circulating, which is kind of a crazy one, man. The story's crazy. Michael Rockefeller ain't been seen since 1961. Michael Rockefeller, who was, a billionaire playboy, not a playboy, no, that's unfair. And you know what? Back it up. He was the other kind. He was the other kind of rich kid. Like you have rich kids who are playboys and they drive fast cars and they get into speedboat racing. You know, you have those kinds of guys. And then you've got their brother. Like, and there's always a brother in these families who's just like, I've got 5 doctorates. I've been in grad school since 1982. You know, they're these people. A good example is like Colin in Succession, right? He's just constantly in Arrested Development. Buster was always, you know, studying ancient tribal tradition. He's just always going to school, always working on more stuff. Anyway, so that's you know, you get so this Rockefeller was the Colin or the Buster of the Rockefellers. He disappeared in 1961 when he went on some dangerous expedition to explore islands believed to be inhabited by cannibals. Yeah, he went. So he went with this like research team to some island where they eat people, and apparently, well, I'll read you the story because this is a crazy story. The disappearance of wealthy New Yorker Michael Rockefeller has been the subject of speculation for decades, but a new podcast has hit on a possible happy ending, as well as a grisly one. The mystery of missing millionaire may have been solved after footage emerged apparently showing a naked white man hunting alongside members of a cannibal tribe. Michael Rockefeller, a member of the famously wealthy Rockefeller family, went missing on a trip to Papua New Guinea in 1961. What is this? That is, you guys, right now, wherever you are, that is just a wonderful word to say. Papua New Guinea. That's a fun. Papua New Guinea. Papua New Guinea. Say it right now. You can't help yourself. Say it. Papua New Guinea. It's fun. On November 17th, small boat. Okay, here's how he went missing. On November 17th, a small boat carrying Rockefeller. This is back in 61. He never even got to hear the Beatles. On November 17th, 1961, the small boat carrying Rockefeller and Dutch anthropologist René Wassin got in trouble. So a small boat on November 17, 2021, a small boat carrying Rockefeller and an anthropologist got in trouble on its way to the island. Rockefeller told Wasing, I think I can make it, jumped and started swimming the 3 miles to shore. Where did that come from? Where's the context for that quote? If he's been missing in this picture. See, so why did I even go to journalism school? Like what? That's a terrible. That makes Michael Rockefeller was never seen again, and is widely believed to have been killed by the tribe. But recently resurfaced film footage captured near the spot where Rockefeller disappeared may change that belief. A reporter named Milt Macklin heard from a mysterious Austrian person who had actually run into Michael Rockefeller recently in the jungle of New Guinea, not far from where he was supposedly caught. 40 years later, Mr. Okay, so let me just show you the picture. Okay, so here is a picture taken from a documentary film crew of now. So I don't know when they say this. They say this footage is from a few years back. So I don't know if a few years back is 20 years back or if it's 10 years back, because Michael Rockefeller was at least 25 years old when he went missing. We could probably figure that out for real, but that was 1961. So that's 50, that's 60 years ago. That's 60, 70, 80. He's an 80-year-old. That doesn't work. Anyway, this is still a bizarre ass picture. Look at this. This is from a documentary. This is a war tribe. This is a group of native soldiers who are manning something known as a war horse. Okay. Let's see if we can get these pictures. All right, here, we'll scroll through them. And it's a white dude. It's like all of these tribal dudes, and then it's a naked white dude who's like in the middle of it, like one of them. You see, he was born a Rockefeller, and he went native. He literally went native. He went complete. All right, so let's see what he looks like here. Let's see. All right, so this is him back in the day. So yeah, he was relatively young. All righty. Get a look at him. All right, there's Michael Rockefeller. He was relatively young. when he disappeared. Okay, so that was him. We don't need this. Okay. That's the documentary guy. Hold on. Where's it? Okay, here, look at this. All right, so this is footage from, I don't know, some kind of, that's a white guy, and he's not a slave. He's like manning, he's like one of the guys that's pushing this thing they call a war horse. It's like all these so there you go. Anyway, I don't know what to make of that. I just think that's a crazy story if true. So he was a Rockefeller, and he didn't have any direction in his life. So he just, endlessly was going to be in school studying native. He was fascinated by natives. He was fascinated by ancient ways of life. That's what everybody said about him. That's why he was so big in anthropology and all of this stuff. Loved it. So, I mean, it does kind of, he jumped off the boat, swam to the island where the cannibals were. I'm sure the first 24 hours were very difficult. There was probably not a lot of trust there, but if he survived, why couldn't he have assimilated into their society and now be seen in some video years later? How old would he have to be? I don't know. Anyway, there you have it. Michael Rockefeller going native. Maybe, maybe not. Is that it? I think that's it, guys. I think we're done. I think we're done with stories. Yep, that's going to do it. All right. We appreciate you so much being with us today. We've had a long show, a good show, a little bonus time. At the end of the show, I will check to see who is executive producing tomorrow's show. I think we got one tip, maybe. So thank you to whoever that might be. This show does run on your tips, your gratuities. If you like this kind of talk radio, non-divisive, non-political, would like to encourage it and see that it goes forward into a third year. Yes, we've been doing it for 2 years. You might want to drop a little something. We appreciate it. Thank you very much. Okay. Tonight on the Radio Misfits show, what are we going to do? Let's see here. Do I have anything planned yet for I don't think I do.
I have got my poetry.
The reason I'm saying this is because that typically means that I do have something planned. Like there's something that I wanted to do tonight, and now I can't think of it. There's something. I don't know. I guess you'll just have to tune in. Here's a promise. I will have stuff. I have stuff every day, every night. Oh, sounds like okay. I want to jump into the chat room and just see if I can respond to some of the things that have been talked about today. Early on today, Barney Styles let everyone know the Fonz was cool for a couple of seasons, and then, like so many TV characters, it became a parody of itself. I will point out, I don't think the Fonz was cool. I mean, I like the Fonz. Don't get me wrong. I like the character. I loved Happy Days, but I think by my estimation of what constitutes cool, no one who thinks they're cool can be cool. I chose that word specifically. I didn't say anyone who thinks they're cool is cool. No, it's can be cool. You're incapable of being cool if you think you're cool. That is, they are in direct pole. You can't do that. Others bestow that upon you, which is why I think Fonzie can go kick rocks, you dork. Fonzie, first of all, remember how everybody was afraid of Fonzie? Fonzie's like 5'6". What? Richie Cunningham could whip Fonzie. All right, so maybe not Richie because that doesn't fit the character, right? But you know who could kick Fonzie's ass? You know who would? Chuck. Remember Chuck Cunningham, the big giant kid who went off to the University of Wisconsin to play college basketball and then never came back? They never mentioned Chuck Cunningham, the older brother. First season, Chuck Cunningham. End of season, goes off to college. Next 10 seasons of Happy Days, no mention of Chuck Cunningham. Chuck Cunningham could have kicked the crap out of Fonzie. And didn't Fonzie move into Chuck's garage? That's why he lived with the Cunninghams. I think whatever it was, I don't know. Let's see here. Ross Rubio just throwing out Boss Hog a few hours ago. Don't know what that was in. Oh, I guess it was when I was talking about Cadillacs. Leslie says my dad's mom earned a Mary Kay Cadillac. Ooh, fancy pink one. Sold a lot of makeup. Barney Styles, name checking the Delta 88. Yeah, if you couldn't afford the Cadillac, you might be known to buy the Delta 88. Cheaper, If you squint, it's kind of the same car. Let's see here. Frank says General Norman Schwarzkopf, who I believe did he die on this day or was his birthday? I don't know. It's one of those two. Frank says General Norman Schwarzkopf. I remember my dad got to go over the sandbox in Saudi Arabia. Your dad went there, huh? Desert Shield, Desert Storm. Let's see. What else was discussed in the chat room today that I can now retroactively jump in? Kevin Barber. I love Tori Amos. I don't dislike Tori Amos. I just, she doesn't. I don't know. I was gonna say I don't like that kind of music, but I love Natalie Merchant. Natalie Merchant is like. Here's what it's like. It's like okay. This is going to make no sense to anybody, but it's what happens with a stream of consciousness. Okay, so Tori Amos is like Schindler's List. Like hardcore Schindler's List. You're going to be moved. You're going to be, you have no choice in it. And I love Natalie Merchant. And she's not quite as Tori Amos all the time. So Natalie Merchant is maybe like Sophie's Choice. Maybe, so I'm not, what I'm saying is I'm not criticizing you for liking Tori Amos. I've just always had the observation that if your girlfriend is a Tori Amos fan, she's going to put you through hell because Tori is putting her through hell. It's just the long and the short of it. Let's see here. Adam Rainey gives 2 shits about preseason. It's all right. It's not a real fan. Jeff Ballard says preseason wins don't matter, but the injuries do. Yeah, you're damn right about that, Jeff. Preseason football. Ugh. My right guard, Tevin Jenkins, is missing now for 6 weeks. That's going to completely bite. Well. Leslie says fun times in Cleveland today. What's going on in Cleveland? I don't know what's happening in Cleveland. Is something happening in Cleveland? I don't know. Frank Smith says Division 3 schools don't give scholarships. Yeah, because nobody wants to go there. Yeah, it's like they couldn't give them away. You're talking about, I mentioned Tyson Bagent, who is right now he's like 4th or 5th. He's like 4th or 5th quarterback in Chicago Bears camp. He is a Division 3 undrafted free agent rookie. He set the NCAA at any level, not Division 3, Division 2, Division 1. He set the NCAA record for a couple of categories. The one that I know for sure is touchdowns at 153. He threw for 17,000 yards in college. And his game tape from college, none of his games were on TV. They were all like filmed for local cable channels because it's a small school in West Virginia. But holy shit, that kid is like Brett Favre. That's what he looks like. That's what he is. He's like a gambler. He's a gunslinger. So anyway, I was talking about him. Everybody wants him to be Justin Fields' backup. And by everybody, I mean me and everyone who agrees with it. A lot of people he's really impressed in the preseason. He seems poised. He knows what he's doing. Just what's the matter? Go ahead. Throw him out there. We got Nathan Peterman can be our 3rd stringer and PJ Walker can go kick rocks because PJ Walker is terrible. I'll give you an example. Here's the dilemma. So PJ Walker in one full quarter with the Bears was like 1 for 5 with a fumble and no first downs, right? That's what he was. And then Tyson Bagent comes in. Tyson Bagent takes the ball. He starts on his own 3-yard line, goes 97 yards in a 17-play drive and scores the final touchdown by bootlegging it. I mean, it's just amazing. It was like, look at this kid. He comes in. PJ Walker, who is supposedly our backup, PJ Walker can't do dick. He didn't even get a first down. And then this undrafted free agent who everybody said he can't play in the NFL, marches right downfield, scores a touchdown. So we like him. So to that end, Frank is saying that Division 3 schools, such as Shepherd in West Virginia, Division 3 schools don't give scholarships. Is that true? I didn't know that. I mean, that seems probably true. I don't know. What else do we have? There's my girl, April. April, executive producer of today's show. That's why I'm going extra far. April's a good tipper, too. Thank you, April. You're very kind. Peter says, did not know Ed was in Strawberry. Oh, I was talking about the great Ed King, Big Ed King. Is Big Ed King celebrating a birthday today, or is he dead? I'm not sure. I think he's dead. I think today was the day he died. Peter says, did not know that Ed King was in Strawberry Alarm Clock. Great trivia. Electric Prune song, I Had Too Much to Dream, is amazing as well. Jeff says, with the amount of cornstarch I've been using the last couple of days, I've been making gallons of nut gravy. We're talking about the heat. Jeff's up there in Iowa right now, probably working a combine. I don't know what Jeff does. Jeff is someone who I like immensely. We've become friends on the Twitter through a couple of years of this. No idea what Jeff does. I just imagine Jeff rides around on a combine wearing a John Deere hat. That's how I want my Jeff. That's how I imagine him. He's out there in Iowa. Because that's what everybody in Iowa does, right? Al Gamboa with some breaking news from a while ago says, breaking news, Tom Cruise has reportedly quit Scientology. Al Gamboa, if that's true, I will do a special. I will end this stream. I will change my shirt, jump in the shower, and that should all take about 90 seconds. And then I will be back on with a special Tom Cruise has quit stream. Let's see. Let me look into that. Thank you, Al. I have not looked at any of the trends since we started this show 2 hours and 48 minutes ago. Is this a thing, guys? Guys in the chat room, is this something that I should have been made aware of? New report alleged that Tom Cruise's relationship with the controversial church may not be what we think. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, we've got some breaking news here. This is being cross-referenced by quite a number of news organizations, so I feel comfortable reporting it moving forward. Okay, so what have you said? Tom Cruise has reportedly quit Scientology after it kept him from seeing his daughter Suri for years. For years. It took you years. Your daughter, have you seen Suri Cruise, Tom? Your daughter is an absolutely gorgeous young woman, and she looks to have been raised proper by that angel of an ex-wife of yours, Katie Holmes. And now suddenly you want to swoop back in? Where were you when she was... Tom Cruise hasn't seen Suri in forever. Could you imagine... Have you seen Suri Cruise? Do you remember Suri Cruise when Suri Cruise was a baby? Could you imagine a scenario by which you could be presented with Suri Cruise? You get to play with her, you get to hug on her, you get to kiss her. She's a little absolute angel of a thing. And then you just choose, I'm not going to see that anymore ever. You couldn't keep me away from that cute little kid. She was such a little darling. Little cutie Suri Cruise. And now she's grown up. And remember we looked at the pictures just a couple of days ago of Suri Cruise. Tom Cruise, screw you, Tom Cruise. Too little, too late. Okay. That's the performative me. Now let's get to the thoughtful level. Now let's get to the, better late than never. It's his daughter. He was in a cult. This was a cult. Maybe we should really be focusing on him snapping out of the cult thing and now recognizing, hey, I don't even know my daughter. Maybe that, okay, so let's focus on that instead of the blame. Although it is fun to do the blame because when I get performative like that, then what happens? I get all the endorphins going in my head. I get a little drunk, get a little rage drunk. It feels good. Let's find out what this is about. Tom Cruise has reportedly quit Scientology after it kept him from seeing his daughter Suri for years. Tom is known as Scientology's golden boy, but he's apparently quitting the religion he once used to adore. Wouldn't it be great if Tom Cruise just breaks bad, like on Scientology? Like just starts talking about everything. Tom Cruise has reportedly distanced himself from the Church of Scientology, possibly ending his longstanding affiliation with the controversial religion. It's not a religion. It's a big, giant group therapy meeting. The Church of Scientology has played a significant role in Tom Cruise's personal life, including his divorces and his relationships with his daughter, Suri. While Tom's two eldest children remain devoted members of the church. Who? Who? He's got other kids. Did you know this? Does he have Kidman kids? Is he a Kidman? Is he a man with kids with kid? There's some wordplay there. We don't have time for it now, but there is. Does he have? I didn't know he had kids with Nicole Kidman. No, probably not real kid. No, I'm not. I mean biological. Of course they're real and they love them and they're adopted and that's all. You know what I mean? Because I don't imagine that when Nicole Kidman was married to Tom Cruise, like Nicole Kidman married Tom Cruise so that she could go from being the faceless, nameless doctor in Days of Thunder to being the Nicole Kidman who wins Academy Awards. And her marrying Tom Cruise got her to that point. Tom Cruise elevated her to a different class of Hollywood, at which point she was presented with opportunities and she knocked them out of the park. Turns out she's a great actress, but it was Tom Cruise who sort of fast forwarded that. And the reason I say that they adopted, because while Nicole Kidman is trying to utilize whatever advantages that come her way through being married to Tom Cruise, she didn't want to be pregnant. So I'm guessing there's no way. I could be wrong though. Let me see here. Why isn't CNN breaking in with this? Why isn't this a special CNN? This seems like the biggest news of the day. Oh, yeah, Leslie tells me they're adopted. Let's see. So where is this story coming from? So that's the first thing that I look for on these stories. So this is a story that's just happening on the fly, right? And I'm talking about it like it's a real thing. But just to pull the curtain back a little bit, if this was 10 o'clock in the morning and I was putting together the noon show, I'd be looking for a couple of things in this story. Because yes, there's a lot to chew on, and boy, I can rant on this story. But who's being quoted here, right? Where is this story coming from? So, I mean, let's see here. Tom Cruise has been a high profile. First of all, this page is coming, The Mirror. So The Mirror, which is it's a tabloid. It's an English tabloid. So The Mirror is reporting this first. That's not, the Mirror. I think The Mirror was also the one who told me last week. Remember we did the story about how Harry and Meghan are getting a divorce? That was like 2 weeks ago. Breaking news. Reports are that Harry and Meghan are getting a divorce. They can't live with each other anymore. Yeah, I guess that's not because they've been like seen together and stuff since. I don't know. Tom hasn't responded to the speculation thus far, but it's shocking when considering how involved he is with the church. All right. So actually, now that I'm looking at this, so let me go through the people who are reporting this. I'm not seeing anything. Like, I'm not even seeing a People magazine. Like, give me a People magazine story. TheThings.com is reporting this. No lesser an authority than TheThings.com. Yahoo has a story, but Yahoo sometimes aggregates. So let's see who filed the story that Yahoo is pushing. SheKnows.com. So Yahoo is amplifying a story on a website called She Knows, which, again, none of these sites that I've mentioned that seem to be the origin for this story are anything that instills me with any confidence that, you can believe it because She Knows.com said it. Here's one from a radio station. Tom Cruise stepping away from controversial religion Scientology. Here's what we know. Absolutely nothing, because we're a pop station in Akron. WION is reporting. Fine, I'll accept your cookies. Okay, and this story is lifted from the New Delhi Times. I don't know anything about the New Delhi Times. As a matter of fact, I think that there is no such thing as the New Delhi Times. I think the New Delhi Times is some phony newspaper that somebody created online that looks like a real newspaper. And when you see a story that supports your political position published in the New Delhi Times, you go, see, look, it's a real paper. And New Delhi's got a lot of people, I don't think this is a real paper. So we're going to move on from that. There are a lot of those out there, man. There are a lot of those out there. Like for instance, the one that I saw a new one a couple of weeks ago, and I made a note of it. It was the Parisian Caller Daily, and on the thing, the way you go to the website and you click on it, and it says since 1785. It's like, it's not a real paper. It's not from since 7. They don't care because there's no shame. because you just put since 17. And when people link to a story or click to a story and they get taken to that website and you see, you're like, oh, this is a real fancy Paris newspaper since 1780. And then you look harder, or maybe, you know what to look for. And you're like, oh, this isn't real. There's no editorial board. These are the things you have to look for. They're not real. The Sacramento Bee. Wait, is the Sacramento Bee real? There's one that's not real that sounds so real. And I'm like, oh boy. And you see people sharing it because they think it's a real newspaper. And it's like, that's not a real newspaper. Okay. What else? Anything else big happening in the world? This ain't like, I don't have anything to do today. I don't know why I'm hanging out longer. This is our third hour now. We're going into our third hour. See if there's anything new that I got. You know what? Wasn't I playing the theme? Wasn't I already in the closing theme before I got derailed? Ugh. Look at that. You never know when the show is over around here. Giving you more. Once again, tip the show if you can. Tip the show if you can. Reminder, let's not have me all crapping diamonds at the end of the month. Let's support as we go. Should be a nice change. All right, I love you guys. We'll see you. So loud. So loud. All right, guys, I'll see you tomorrow or tonight. Tonight at 9 o'clock for Radio Misfits, and then tomorrow at noon for more High Noon Report with this guy. Love y'all. Bye. Best is yet to come. I have found a different way, so baffling to some. I have got an old guitar, that is all I need. I don't need no 401. I don't have the greed. Down the road I'll travel, far from the comfort nest. I am on a never-ending quest. Tomorrow is another day, the best is yet to come. I have found a different way, so baffling to some. I can smile a little now, things are going good. I always have. Okay, I'm back. All right, so I just got roped in. I'm reading. Okay, so I guess something that I didn't address, which is what's going on with Ross and Adam? What are you guys talking about? Ross says, Adam, misnomer is incorrect here based on your description of the misconception that all welfare recipients are all fat and lazy. Okay. So I guess I gather what they're talking about is the Oliver Anthony song that we discussed from earlier. And that is one of the lyrics in the song Richmond, north of Richmond, that has caused a lot of people to not a lot of people, because let's be honest, stop it. It's a song lyric, really? But a lot of people going, oh, no, he's a bad guy because he thinks people on welfare are bad. No, I mean, see, that's not how I processed it. I can certainly see how one would. I can totally see it, but that's not, given the whole song. Here's being against the current state of the American welfare system does not believe you advocate for the abolition of the welfare system. That is not what people who criticize the welfare system are necessarily saying. And I think that those two things, I think that sometimes they're not thought to be different. I think that anybody who criticizes the welfare system is thought to be somebody who doesn't believe it serves a purpose. The welfare system in this country has saved countless lives. The welfare system in this country is one of the beacons of our great humanity to the rest of the world. It is a marvelous thing. Stop it. Is it corrupted? Yes. Are there things that can easily be fixed, things that can easily be changed, things that can be funds that can be directed more effectively to instantaneously make impacts in the communities around this country where they're intended. Yes. Is there all kinds of bureaucracy and red tape? Yes. Is that the reason that most of us get so freaking angry at the welfare state? Yes. Not because I want to take, never mind. Point is this. I have a friend. Yeah, he's a friend. I've known him for, probably 40 years. No, for 45 years. He is well, here, let me tell you what he does. Okay, so my friend, he gets these cards from the federal government every month. There's $200 worth of food on there. $200 worth of food. These WIC cards. Do you know about these, food stamps? I guess we used to call them food stamps, but I come to learn they're not actual food stamps. They're like a credit card. They're like a debit card that you get from the government. You can go to any grocery store, any store that serves food. And if you want to buy food to nourish yourself, you can use that. This dude gets 2 of those. First of all, you're only supposed to get 1. He gets 2. He also receives workman's comp on 3 different jobs that he never held. They were no-show jobs. I would say, no, I mean, obviously, I'm not going to say his name. If you haven't put it together yet, he is a welfare cheat. And he's not original. He's not at all. He's a man. He's my age. I mean, I know him he's actually a year older than me. I know him from growing up. But what else is he? He's a mobster. He is an organized crime. He's in the outfit, or what used to be known as the outfit. His father was before him. He is a big Chicago mafia family guy. Food stamps. You see him at the Jewel. He'll be in line and he'll go around, pull out the food stamp. Yank! Swipe it, put it back in his pocket. He ain't paying anything. He's cheating the system. Now, do I go... How dare you? I'm outraged. No, you know what I do? I laugh and I say, yeah, you go ahead. This system is so freaking broken. We've got to drive it into the ground before we can ever create something from the ashes that will actually serve and help people in need. Because you are not in need. Sure as hell ain't. I cleared over $1 million last year. Whoop! Swipes his card again. Oh, he's a piece of shit. What gave it away? That he's a mobster? We don't choose our friends. We don't choose the people we grow up with. Actually really funny. And he's a good friend to know. He's got a lot of connections if you need things. What are you doing? You need some tickets to that? What are you going? You going to that show? You want to go to the show? I can get you some tickets. God, shut up. Don't. You kidding me? I'll get you them tickets. All right. Yeah, he's one of those guys. But yeah, he's got a whole bunch of welfare scams going on. And I imagine this is not the kind of, I'm not the kind of friend that gets the business model. But I imagine he's got an entire crew of guys who are doing the exact same thing. So when Oliver Anthony in the song Rich Men North of Richmond sing about their anger at the welfare system, he's not necessarily picking on the little guys. Although I can see how from that lyric you would go, it's a much bigger issue than that. Being outraged about the welfare system and being angry and reducing it to those tropes as he did in that song is probably not the choice that I would make. But man, welfare in this country is screwed up. But some people are getting help. Certainly not enough people are getting help. That's all I'm saying.
To be on guard, that is understood. Down the road I'll travel far from.
Adam says, my mom would buy food stamps from people. Well, welfare isn't perfect. No, it's not. It's broken. It needs to be reimagined. The way we take care of people in this country, because we are moral and because we love each other and we want one another to thrive. And we know that this is the greatest country on the earth. What are you doing? I'm talking about this country and you're just making all kinds of noise. Anyway. Welfare system is messed up. Anyway, there you go. And he chose a fairly abrasive way to make that one of the points of his show. So I understand why people have been like, I don't like that line. That's fine. I understand. Regrettable choice, maybe. I also think he probably could have come up with better rhymes. A couple of his rhymes, I just thought. But anyway, bye. See you tonight at 9.